What is up, everyone, and welcome back to some more Higurashi. In the previous recording session, we finally hit the actual conflict of this chapter, right? Because most of the build up in this chapter has been like, oh, Rika's having a great time, everything's going Rika's way, everything's great, everything's awesome. And then we finally hit some conflict, and it's a bit of a retelling of chapter 3, as I kind of suspected it might be. Because like chapter 5 was this take, a different take on chapter 2, chapter 6 a different take on chapter 1. So I was kind of suspecting chapter 7 would probably touch on chapter 3, and I was right. Tepe comes back to town. We got a little bit more backstory into what happened to Rina and what eventually brings Tepe back to town. But Tepe's back in town, but this time the whole gang's finally coming together. We're using the power of friendship, all right, to try to get Satoko out of her situation. Everyone puts their heads together. Keiichi, yo, he goes. He even takes it beyond his friends, right? He goes to his parents. He's getting their opinions. Like, he's talking to people, right? It's great. We love to see it. So ultimately, the gang decided, hey, let's just go to the fucking child consultation center ourselves and try to appeal the decision, because that's something we can do. Does it have a high success rate? No, but we gotta try. We gotta try all our options. And I guess Keiichi just gave such a powerful speech that even Rika, in her absolute state of, doom, was just like, yeah, fuck it, I'll give it a shot. Even, which I did like that moment, even when Hanya was like, Rika, I really don't think. She's like, you know what? Shut up. I've heard enough of you. So, without further ado, let's just jump right back into it, shall we?
あそこで暇そうにしてる人たちが話を聞いてくれてもいいと思いません？あそこにいるのは一般事務員だよ。私たちはちゃんと話すべき相手と話さなきゃならないんだからさ。
待たされるということは、世の中にはこういう相談事が多いのかな。
考えてみれば、ここの職員が暇そうでちょうどいい気がしてくるよ。
虐待の相談が繁盛しているようでは、世も末なのです。
After 30 minutes, they finally called my name. I wrote down my name at the registration, as Mion can't let them know she's from the Sonozaki family. That's fair.
今呼ばれた前原ですけど。
I went to the receptionist to find a uniformed older lady. She must be one of the office workers Mion mentioned. Was she really going to be the one dealing with us?
前原さん、本日は5人でいらっしゃってますが、どういうご相談でしょうか？
The only thing I wrote on the registration was that I wanted to talk about Satoko Hojo.
昨日、ひなみ沢分校の千恵先生から通報があった北条聡子の保護についての件です。それでちょっとお話ししたいこと。
前原さんと
はい、クラスメートです。
お話の内容ですが、概要をお聞かせいただいてもよろしいですか？
実は北条聡子の、それで聡子の状況について。
わかりました。もうしばらくお待ちください。
That was it from her then. A real social worker should be coming here to talk with us. She was just asking us basic information. With that done, she was talking on the phone and explained to someone what I just told her.
何を聞かれたの？
今日は何のご用事ですかって聞かれたぜ。もうちょい待たされるのかな。
こういう無意味な待ち時間ってイラ
Girl,
つ
I
きます。
swear to God if you fuck this up.
ミーはさっきからポスターとかチラシばかり読んでいますが、楽しいですか？
虐待を見たり聞いたりしたらご通報くださいなんてのがいっぱい。だから私たちみたいなのが来ても決してお門違いってわけじゃなさそうだね。
虐待の目をつむ地域、これって川柳なのかな？
言われてみればそういう啓発ポスターがいっぱい貼ってあるな。さすが児童相談所だぜ。
内側に貼ってもあまり意味がないと思いますです。
Rika-chan was right. They should be posting them all over the city, not just inside the building.
前原様、大変お待たせし、2番の相談室へお入りください。
お、呼ばれたぜ。行こう行こう。
As we walked, we soon saw rooms numbered 1 through 3.
へえ、銀行みたいにカウンター越しに普通に話すのかと思ってたぜ。
Yeah, man, we're gonna be discussing sensitive topics and case issues at the counter. Hell yeah, bud.
個室になってるのか。
多分プライバシー保護のためだね。相談する内容はほとんどの場合あまり人に聞かれたくない内容だと思うから。
そういう家庭内のトラブルを囲んで見えなくしてしまう土壌がきっと。
家庭問題は見て見ぬふりをするのが美徳っぽいとこって確かにありますね。
Room number 2. It's this one. As I knocked, I heard the voice of a woman telling me to come
失
in.
礼します。
It was a very small room. Well, I should say it was narrow. It wasn't wide, but it was very long. There was a counter in the middle, which split the room in two. The woman was waiting on the other side of the counter. She told us to take a seat, but there were only two chairs. I sat down since we registered under my name. Mion wouldn't sit because she felt that the Sonozaki sisters shouldn't be in the front. Reina tried to offer the seat to Riki-chan, but she refused too, so Reina ended up taking it. It was such a tiny room that it was better for us to take a seat. It was very cramped with the five of
申
us.
し訳ござい。普通はご両親が2人でお見えになることが多いので、
I understand that.
それで今日は
俺が代表で俺たちはひなみ沢分校に通っているもので、北条聡子、昨日学校から通報があって、相談所の人がただそこで緊急性がないと判断されて様子見になったと聞き、相談所の方が事態をよく把握されてないんじゃないかと思って、その辺の説明に参りました。
Mio nodded. Seemed like I was doing okay so far.
説明ともお聞かせいただけますか？
ですね、確かに聡子は実際去年の時にもそういういじめが行われるのは、だからそうなる前に、でも聞くところによれば相談所は様子見ってことになったそう。
様子見なんて聡子を見殺しにするつもりですか？
Shion. Shion?
聡子が虐待を受けていないから助けなくていいなん虐待を受けたらその傷は誰が責任を取ってくれるんです？
Shion probably didn't like how politely I was speaking to her. You need to be calm. She was already flaring up with rage at the social worker. Yeah, that's not going to do us any favors. Looked like Mion didn't want to tear into her. Well, I want to. However, she left Shion finished, as she'd get even more furious if we tried to stop her. I mean, I guess I understand that. The woman seemed to be used to people losing their temper. Yeah, that makes sense. And she continued without reacting to Shion's
ま
outburst.
ず誤解を解いておきたいと思いますけど、見殺しとか放置とかそういうわけではないんですよ。
Working on her case. They're not abandoning her. They're currently reviewing options, I suppose. While their mature phrasing made me start to think it might be rude and harsh to say they were abandoning her, Reina quietly opened her mouth. Ooh, get
で
him.
も昨日の時点では何もせずに帰られてますよね。
No one can ever fool Reina, goddamn right. Taking their time to review options was the exact same thing as abandoning her. The fact is, they left her in that house without taking any actions to prevent her from being abused.
昨夜は相談所の者がそれ以上のことはプライバシーがありますのでお話しできませんが、決して見殺しなんてことは北条さん親子が健全な生活を送れる。
何言ってんです？おじとめいです。本当に事態を把握してるんですか？
おじとめいですね。とにかく親権者と児童が健全な関係を結べるよう指導中です。
Shion had pounced on her mistake immediately, as she should. They didn't think she needed to be so snappy. No, she was right. You gotta get on the ass for shit like that. But at this point, I was starting to understand how different their sense of urgency was from
い
ours.
や、聡子はおじなんかの助けもなく、第一、おじはそれまで1年間、それって
誘拐という子は親権者の定めるところに民法の第821。
1年間も聡子なんであんなやつが親権？そりゃ聡子の両親が2年目のたたりで死んだ。
そうなのか？あんなやつでも。
民法の何条だかは知らないけど未成年者はつまり子である限り誰にでも親権いないといけ。
それは民法の第800。
それってのはつまり
基本的には近い聡子にはおじ夫婦しか親類がいないようだった。もちろん聡子たちが望めば他の人がダム戦争の直後のひなみ沢で引き取り手なんて現れるわけないじゃない。引き手あまたであっさり君吉のおじいちゃんが後見人になってくれたリカちゃまとは事情が違うんです。
I knew that the Hojo family was in favor of the dam project, and the whole village hated her family for that reason. But I thought everything was over after they canceled the project and Satoko's parents died. Was I aware of the difference? The difference between how the villagers treat Satoko and how they treat Rika-chan? The villagers don't abuse Satoko like her uncle, but maybe there were small thorns left in the village and they were stinging Satoko occasionally.
大きい声じゃ言えないけど おじ夫婦より聡子の一家の方が財産は持ってたと思う。親権者になればこの財産管理権ができるからね。だからおじ夫婦はあの後シャーシャーと聡子の家へ引っ越してきて乗っ取っちゃったわけよ。あいつらの本当の家知ってる？めちゃくちゃ小さくて狭いんだよ。
なんだか嫌な。でも親権者が1年、それって親権者って言える？どうなんですか？
そうです。民法の4編4章に親権の喪失についての定めというのがあります。
The woman opened a thick book on the counter and showed us that page. I didn't completely understand what it says on there, but it seemed that a parent can lose custody when they're being irresponsible.
つまり親の資格というのは。
待て待て。裁判所、何家庭裁判所は、この親族または検察官の請求によって、その親権の喪失を宣告することができる。なんだこれ。あんな奴の親権を奪うのに、のんびり、そんな悠長な。
いえいえ、本当にもちろんその場合も火災の。
その834条の親権者である北条哲平が1年間育児放棄をしていた事実、それを相談所では。
それはプライバシーがありますので
その説明に。
ですから児童の身柄ももちろん第一に考えますし、児童が健全な家族環境の中で暮らしていけるよう慎重に対応するつもりです。
We weren't on the same page at all. They just weren't understanding the urgency. I've never met this Tepe guy. I only know about the situation based on what my friends told me about last year and what Chie-sensei told us. But I still understood very well. I understood that something really bad was going to happen if we didn't take any action right now.
だいたい去年だってそんなおじのところに預けててもその時のことが記録に残ってるはずですよ。
過去の件についてはプライバシーでお答えできませんが、もちろん総合的に判断した上。
昨日も登校してこないし、確かに学校には風邪だと連絡があったそうです。
そうですね。もう少し様子を見てもいいのではないかと思います。
とにかく聡子がおじのところ、おじに無理やり監禁されて。
もちろん当方の職員が
結局あれです。聡子の過去の嘘通報が未だ
過去の件はプライバシー、児童のためにそう。
聡子のやつ、兄の聡に、だから聡子が虐待は。
打ちのめされた人間には助けを求める気力もないってことわかりますよね。
もうしのごの言わずに聡子に何かあったら絶対言う。私が真摯の対応しているうちによしなよし、心象を悪くするだけだよ。相談所の人が言った時、おじがどういう態度をしたのかは騙されないでください。今日はそれを伝えたくて。
だからどうか一刻も早くよろしくお願いいたします。
Some of us were getting emotional, but Mion calmed them down, and Reina summed it up nicely. I stopped speaking to see what she was going to say next.
お話はわかります。聡子さんのお友達さん5人からその旨の訴え、引き続き慎重に対応してまいりますので、どうか今後とも児童服。本日は貴重なお話をお聞かせくださり誠にありがとうございました。
We were still in Okonomiya. We were in the city park, devoid of playing children, staring vacantly up at the madder red sky in silence.
なんだかこううまく足。
かといって邪険にされたわけじゃないし、あの人は多分相談窓口の人で聡子ちゃんの件を直接担当してる人じゃないんだよ。だからああいう言い方になっちゃうんだよ。
ミオンはさっきのやりとりはどう見た？
なんだか大木を相手に相撲押しても来ない、引いても来ない。あれじゃあ壁に向かって独り言言ったのと変わらないじゃないですか。
そんなことないよ。ちゃんと今日の話を伝えてくれるって言ってた。あの人は直接聡子ちゃんのことを知らないから、私たちから見たら冷たい言い方になっちゃうんだよ。
レナ的には今日の手応えはあったと思うか？
無駄だったとは思わないよ。でも本当の担当者の人には
Yeah.
私たちの熱意は伝わらないだろうね。北条聡子の友人5人が保護を求めて本日夕方。
保護士、その人に直接訴えることはできないんですか？さあね、トラブルの多い直接の接触って難しいんじゃないの？真摯の対応をしているうちに何とかしないと大変なことになるなんて脅迫しに来る人がいるくらいなんだからさ。
According to Mion, there are lots of problematic clients who show up at the Child Consultation Center. It's not a rare thing for them to get an aggressive visitor like Shion.
そういう相手に熱意を伝え、熱意を感情的と履き違えれば履き違えるほど
ミオは天下の園崎家次期当主として俺なんかよりももっとうまく話せないのか。
お姉の話術じゃないで。お姉が園崎家のミオンだから今日の対応見ましたよね。お姉が園崎だと名乗ったらあんな狭い部屋じゃなくてきっと応接室で所長が対応してくれてね。
Mion gave a vague smile and didn't comment. Mion's greatest weapon is her family name. Without that weapon, she's just as ordinary as the rest of us. I shouldn't be thinking about this, but if the Sonozaki family forgave Satoko's family, it would be really easy for them to save her.
やはり園崎家は今でも北条家が嫌いなのですか？
嫌いだって公言してる人はいない。でも根深いみたいだね。というかばあさんが北条嫌いの筆頭ですし、頭の中いつまでダム戦争やってるってんですか。死守同盟が解散して何年経ってるんです。
しーちゃんやさとこちゃんはさとこちゃんで、私たちの大切名字が何かなんて関係ないよ。
Shion went quiet and there was silence for a while. Reina was right. Just like how Satoko's last name doesn't matter, it doesn't matter what Mion's last name is either. The important thing is that our friend is being abused right now. We'd have to do everything we can to save her from that situation. We all looked up at the sky as we listened to the sound of cars passing by. We all felt hopeless. We had no idea what to do. Was what we did today going to help Satoko at all? It would have been better if they just kicked us out. That way we could have been angry with them. But after being treated politely like that, we had no choice but to back off and see what they were going to do. We were forced to just wait and see what happens. Everyone was trying to figure out what our next option was. I couldn't expect Chie-sensei to tell us that everything was taken care of at the Board of Education. That'd be too good to be true.
次はどうしような。
I muttered to myself, hoping that someone would respond with a good idea. But the silence reminded me that everyone was just as stuck as me.
ケイイチ、
リカちゃんか。すまん。あれだけでかい口を叩いて打つ手なし。
信じない。
As I looked at her, I realized that the expression on her face was stronger than ever.
昨日今は思いつかないけど、きっと最前提を思いつくから。だから私はだからケイイチの口から打つ手がないなんて、悲しい言葉が漏れるなんて信じない。
I could see tears in her eyes. Riki-chan was sure that I could do something about the situation.
ケイイチが運命なんて、私はそれを今でも信じてる。だってあなたから助けて、この運命からサトコ助けて。
A tear rolled down from the corner of her eye. My heart was feeling the same way. Damn it, damn it, damn it. An innocent girl was becoming a prisoner of a tragic fate. She desperately needed help. I told them that they could trust me. In other words, that they could count on me. That they could bet on me. Betting is not an easy thing. If I lost, they'd lose their coins too. What does it mean to trust someone? It's about making a bet on that person. It's about betting a coin. It's about betting hope. Trusting someone is tantamount to placing your hopes in them. I told Shion yesterday. I told her to trust me. I didn't say it just because. I knew that those words meant something very serious. But now, after betraying Riki-chan and seeing her tears, I finally realized just how serious it is. I look at Shion. She was in a rage again. Mion tried to calm her down, but she didn't have any ideas either. How about Reina? She's always very reliable in a situation like this. I expected to see her strength. However, Reina also looked depressed. We didn't even know if what we did was a meaningful thing. Reina looked down with a devastated expression on her face, so she couldn't come up with another option either. Damn it. I have to do something for them. Reina's blue fire will melt iron. Mion can be strong when the wind is in our favor. Shion is the same way. They will move forward strongly when the wind is backing them up, but they grow weak when the wind is blowing against them. Despite the whole situation, Riki-chan still believes in us. She believes that we can do something if we all come together. That's right. We all agreed. We said to each other that we could make a miracle happen if we all work together. What am I? If Reina's the blue fire, I'm the red fire. I burn brightly and give strength to everyone. That's right. I'm Keiichi Maibara. Oh, the bongos are coming back, baby. That's how you know we're about to get something good. I'm the magician of words. I have to motivate everyone. The blue fire won't light up unless the red fire does too. When the fire is lit, there will be wind. Mion and Shion will become stronger too.
ありがとうなリカちゃんが火打ち石をそして俺という火が燃え上がってきたぜ
ケイチ
We can't give up now. We're members of the strongest club ever. Nothing can stop us when we get together.
この俺があの程度でへこむなんて情けないぜリカちゃんの言葉で自分を信じろって言葉がどれだけ重いかってことを教えてもらったぜ
Rika-chan knew our personalities well, and she figured out just who she should motivate first. Whoa, I'm really starting to burn up.
おいミオいつまでしょここは怒り狂うところだぜおい
Everyone looked at me with wide eyes as they turned at my powerful voice. They were both surprised by my sudden shout, and waiting in anticipation at the vigor of my call. More and more clearly I could see it. This was Keiichi Maibara's role in this club.
さっきの対応は多分レナの言うようにクラスメートが5人来てだからなああいう対応をしちまったら
確かに
俺たちは貞子の緊急の危機を訴えてんだぞここは戦うとこだこんな公園で仲良くしょぼくれてる場合じゃねえ
でもケイ次に私たちは何をしたらいいんだろう
へへへお前らまさかもうこの程度で晩作が尽きたとか思ってんじゃんお前らこれが部活なら全員ビリだぜ
This is fun. I was feeling depressed too, but now I've got a burning passion in my heart. I felt like I was cheering myself up. Why was I being so sad? If I wanted to save Satoko, I had no time to rest. This was like the final seconds of the last round in a boxing match where we were at a disadvantage. If I stand here stupefied, I'll lose by indecision, so the only option is to press the attack. Was I supposed to just give up because I couldn't knock out the opponent with one punch? No. If I couldn't take him out in one, I'd have to throw 2 or 3 punches. I'd have to try until I could finally knock him out.
連打あるのみって
近いけど
何を考えてるんだか知らないけどなんだかおじさんも面白そうな気がしてきたよこれで泣き寝入りなんて我がぶらしくもないこの程度の逆風跳ね返してみせなきゃね
Yes, Miona's getting her willpower back too.
そうだねケイチ君の言う通りだよいじけてた自分が恥ずかしい戦おう
でもケイちゃん具体的にはどうしようってわけさ
みんなもあの相談員は俺たちに宣戦布告をしてくれやがったわけだが多分意識しなかったんだろうけどな墓穴を掘ってくれたもんだぜしかもそいつはどうやら俺の最も得意とする戦術になりそうだぜ
Let's go. Nah, the moment they bring the bongos in, I'm in. I'm back up. I'm grooving. Let's go. Oh shit, menu. Receptionist note. Let's see. What note did they write? No. Oh, no, as in note. Date. Year. Subject, about Satoko Hojo-san. Visitor, Keiichi Maibara and 4 other friends. They are requesting protection for Satoko Hojo-san to save her from being abused by her uncle. Already being dealt with, question mark? I'm cleaning out the refrigerators. Please remove your personal belongings by this evening. Wow, okay. The bank book frustration. Oh, okay, well, I can already tell by the background who, that's gonna be concerning. Teppei suspected that Satoko was hiding more money somewhere. But in reality, she had none at all. Teppei had asked her how she survived until now, but she told him that she didn't have to use any money because she was living with her friend. Teppei had made some money off of illegal gambling. While he had some of that money saved up, he had no intention to use it on living expenses. However, there was no way Satoko didn't have the money. Teppei was convinced of that. Teppei's wife, Satoko's aunt, must have taken away the family bank book when Satoko's parents died in the accident. But her aunt also died last year, and Satoshi's gone too. That means Satoko should have hidden the bank book somewhere. However, no matter how much he threatened her, she told him that she didn't know anything about it. He continued to question Satoko, still believing that she was hiding it somewhere. He couldn't beat her because her teacher in the child consultation center would suspect him. So he wouldn't beat her. Instead, he spoke to her in a loud and violent voice and broke furniture in front of her. Yeah, I've been there. Threatening people like that is Teppei's forte. However, Satoko continued to claim that she had no clue about the bank book. She didn't seem to be lying. After destroying the whole living room, leaving Satoko frightened like a scared little animal, Teppei finally believed that Satoko had no idea where the bank book was. In that case, where could it be? Teppei had two ideas. One idea was that his wife hid it somewhere in secret. The other idea was that Satoshi took it after his wife's death and hid it somewhere else. Either way, he was certain that it was hidden somewhere in this house. He told Satoko to clean up the mess he'd made in the living room and started searching around the house. Teppei was starting to get bored with Satoko. He'd heard that Satoko's parents had a lot of money saved up, but his wife had taken control of the money herself. Since his wife had been quite thrifty, he was sure that she left the bank book somewhere without using it. Once he got his hands on that money, he could move somewhere else entirely. Teppei was still acquainted with a few people from the gambling spot in Gogora. People who used to help out are still hanging around that area. They still owe him. They should at least let him crash there. It was great that Satoko takes care of all the chores around the house, but Teppei felt uncomfortable about being watched by both the school and the consultation center. Teppei, all too aware that he's a man of violence, couldn't stand living with Satoko without being violent towards her. The more he suffered, the more stronger his urge to beat up Satoko grew. Since Teppei only knew joy through forcing others who resisted to submit, testing to see how violent he could be before the helpless Satoko resisted him was something he was excited to try eventually. Still upset over the visitation by the school teacher, Teppei promised himself that he would destroy Satoko's life before leaving the village. Jesus Christ.
食事の時間中に申し訳ない。みんな聞いてくれ。
Oh. Getting the whole gang in on it, alright. My classmates looked at me with surprise. I stood at the front of the room and banged on the blackboard. I needed to get their
もち
attention.
ろん、俺が話したいのはクラスメートの北条聡子の件だ。
Everyone went quiet as soon as I brought up her name. They all knew how bad of a situation Satoko was in. Remembering what happened to her last year, they understood how critical it was that she get help as soon as possible. Everyone was thinking they wanted to save Satoko if they could. They hadn't done anything because they didn't know what they alone could do.
今更説明の必要もないと思う。知っての通り、聡子はもうこれでおじの野郎に連れ去られて、今日も風邪だと電話してきやがったらしい。診療所にはこの3日間。
諸君、冷静に考えろ。3日も休むような重い風邪で、どうして病院に連れて行かないなんてことが。
3日も風邪なんてなかなかないよ。インフルエンザだとでもそんな風邪なら市販の薬では治らない。
The whole class agreed that it was a bit strange. Everyone had been thinking the same thing inside their hearts. However, no one had really come forward and talked about it. This was a good start.
みんな考えてもみろ。賞味期限切れの饅頭を食ってもそれが前日まであれだけ元気でそんなことがありえてたまるか。これはもう疑い。聡子が学校へ行けないようにしているやつがいるから。もちろんこの異常な状況だが、返事は踏み込んだ質問は全てプライバシー保護で。諸君はどう思う？この対応は。
レナはおかしいと思う。去年聡子ちゃんのおじさんとおばさんがどんな仕打ちをしていたか私たちが一番よく知っている。それにそもそも聡子ちゃんはリカちゃんと2人で仲良く暮らしていた。それを無理やり連れ戻して友達の誰にも会わせず先生にすら会わせないなんておかしいと思う。
The sight of Reina letting her emotions speak for her when she was normally so quiet demonstrated most of all just how dire the situation was. Reina brought an intensity to this that I couldn't, since I often yelled and shouted about things.
このような異常な状況を聡子は仲間だ。クラスメートだ。俺たちはこの四角い一辺が8メートルもない狭い部屋共に学んだ。共に遊んだ。共に飯を食い、時には喧嘩をしたりした。過ごす時間は劣ってもその濃密な関係は家族にも勝る。そんな第二の家族の危機を俺たちは見過ごせるのか。見過ごせる、見殺せるってやつはいないな。いるわけないんだ。聡子を見殺しにするな。助けるんだ、俺たちが。
Class was filled with commotion, which is exactly what I was looking for. The louder I talked, the louder my classmates got. They were getting all fired up. The more I let my true colors show, the greater everyone's emotions became as well.
そして我が部は聡子を救うためにはどうすればいいかを調べ、飛田君、それがわかるか？
わかりません。
よし。いや何？法律に逆らうってんじゃない。むしろ法律に従って世の中、実は正攻法ほど効くものは裏技ってのは奇襲的で効果がありそうに感じるが、そんなのはびっくり箱なんかと同じ安っぽいもんだ。本当の正攻法ってのはな、何でも。
空手なんかでも最も威力があるのは聖剣好きだって聞いたこと。愚直でシンプルな正攻法が最も威力があるのは力学をちょいと考えれば当然のことなんだよね。だって私たちは聡子を助けるために正しいことをしています。裏からこそこそ行く必要なんてない。正面から堂々と乗り込んで倒す。
倒すって。
いいことを言うな岡村君。確かにこいつは喧嘩だがな、殴り合おうってんじゃないぞ。ちゃんとルールにのっとった正しい喧嘩なんだ。その前にまず聡子を救うにはどうすればいいのかという現状はこうだ。聡子がいる。叔父がそれを監禁している。一昨日の時点では聡子に外傷がなかったと相談所が言ってるが、それにな、登校禁止は立派な児童虐待。ほら見ろ、こいつはミオンが持ってきた児童相談所のパンフレットだ。ここに明記してある。登校禁止は虐待。しかも叔父は1年間こいつは育児拒否。これもまた虐待だが、一昨日学校1年間の育児拒否は水に流しと、しかも訪問した時に聡子に外傷がなかったからとりあえず虐待はないだろう。どう思う諸君？
前原、これは明白な問題。たとえ北条はそう言っていなくとも問題が起きていないという根拠にはなりえません。
僕もそう思います。どうしてこれで虐待だと認定されないんです？
ミオンから聞いた内部の情報によると、虐待かどうかを判断する。虐待というのはもっと何年とか何ヶ月とか、そこを慎重に見極めないといけない。これをどう思う？聡子を数ヶ月間もほったらかしにしようという判断が
言えない、言えない。
そうだ、言えるわけがない。相談所には聡子の置かれている危機感が伝わっている。去年の聡子がどういう状況だったかが、だから様子見なんてのんびりしたことが言えるんだ。ならばどうする富田君？
はい、問題となるのは生活相談所側の認識の甘さだと思います。これについて事情をよく知る人間が説明する必要があると思います。
児童相談所の人が慎重に対応したいと。でもそれは聡子ちゃんには当てはまらない。おじさんはおばさんとの夫婦喧嘩で、しかもそのおばさんが死んだ後はたった一人残された聡子ちゃんを放り出して。
しかもだ、そいつは沖宮の愛人宅に転がり込むためだったとの情報をキャッチしてるんだ。その間残された聡子はどうしてた？たまたまリカちゃんが一緒に住もうと申し出てくれたからいい。もしリカちゃんがいなかったらたった一人で生きていかなくちゃならなかった。
しかもだ、ひなみ沢に戻ってきた理由も要するに捨てられたんだな。それでのこのこひなみ沢に戻ってきて、しかも近所からは聡子、つまりおじの野郎が聡子てめえの家事を押し付けるためだけなんだ。
そんなの人として許せないです。この教室の中で1年も愛人のところへ転がり込んでて、捨てられたからってひょっこり帰ってきて威張り腐ってるやつを親なんて思う人いる？
いません、いません。
そうだ、そんなやつは親じゃねえ。だが相談所はやつを親権者だと呼ぶ。親権を取り消すには家庭裁判所に訴えなければならないなんて。親かどうかを決めるのは誰だ？裁判所じゃねえだ。人としての常識が決めるんだ。だからはっきり言える。やつは聡子の親じゃねえ。そしてそれをはっきりと児童相談
公的機関の中で聡子が実際に暴力を振るわれる前に助けることができる。警察は事件にならないと助けてくれないよ。事件になるまで聡子を見殺しになんてできる？
座して見殺しになんてできない。だから俺たちはすでに立ち上がった。昨日俺たち部活メンバーは、そして連中は記録にこう書いた。北条聡子、どういうことがわかるか。5人じゃ足りねえ。お前だ、仲間を救うために力を
Yeah, I
貸
kind of
せ。
figured that's where I was heading towards.
いいか惜しむな。人間が生きてる間にどれだけ人のために一肌脱げるチャンスがあるってん。ここでやらなかったら男じゃねえ。戦い方は簡単だ。矢面には俺が立つ。
部活メンバーが全火力を受け持つ。ただ俺たちの背中を守ってくれればいい。それだけじゃ我慢がならなけりゃ吠えろ。ひなみ沢分校のスピリッツってやつを思い知らせてやれ。
これは
Chie Sensei looked into the classroom, the commotion having attracted her attention. As soon as she tried to step inside the class, someone behind stopped her.
校長先生。
知恵先生、お茶が飲みたいです。入れてはくれませんかな。
Hell yeah, base principal. It was a clear display of his intent not to disrupt Keiichi's speech.
クラスには小さな子、もしもみんなで沖宮の相談所に押しかけようなんて。
知恵、
フルデさん。
みんなが私は無力だから。でもそれを阻止しようとする知恵を食い止めるくらいはできる。
She had never seen Rika staring at her with an expression like that. She was surprised to see Rika looking so determined.
何を止める理由があるというのか。
校長先
大いに結構。やれるところまでやってみなさい。それで責任を求められるなら、不詳この海枝が全て責任を取る。
Principal pounded his own chest. Chie Sensei couldn't object any longer.
わかりました。くれぐれも怪我人など出さない。ルールとマナーを絶対に守る約束ですよ。
二人ともありがとうなの。
知恵先生、
この年をして生徒にはよし、覚悟を決めました。教え子は私の娘も同じ。娘をかばわぬ母はなし。
よし、みんな今日の学校が終わったら各自速攻で帰宅し、自転車で沖宮の図書館に集。そこの1階奥が相談所になっている。
お待ちなさい。
知恵先生。
先生、まさか。
とんでもない。あなたたちの意志、社会のルールにちゃんとのっとって戦う。皆さんがちゃんとお行儀よくする。よろしいですね。
Alright, alright. Here we go. We're all getting fired up. We headed for the library as soon as we got back home from school. I'd expected that few kids wouldn't show up, but surprisingly, everyone came along. I could tell just how driven they were. It was also encouraging to have Chie Sensei there with us. I had to admit, I'd been feeling a bit guilty for dragging everyone to the consultation center. But as long as Chie Sensei was with us, I didn't need to feel that guilt.
前原さん、
はい。相談表に書いた北条聡子の保護に、
皆さんどういったご関
聡子のクラスメート全員と引率教師。
できれば代表の方だけでお願いしたいの。
なら会議室とかの部屋に合わせるんじゃなくて、私たちに合わ
お待ちください。
The receptionist seemed troubled. She told us to head back to our seats and started to make a phone call to someone.
レナさんってやり、今のはプロの私でも絶
Bitch, you're
妙だ
not
と
a
思う
pro.
タイミングの脅しでした。
Fuck out of here. You're the biggest amateur hour we got.
それって多分褒め言葉じゃない。
Reina's good at reading other people's minds. Sometimes she can use that talent against the enemy to intimidate them. A strange atmosphere permeated the office. Must have been the first time a whole class had visited on behalf of one child. It was though we were here for a school trip.
どうもどうも。どうぞ皆さんおかけください。
本日はご多忙、ひなみ沢分校のよろしくお願いいたします。
They were treating us so differently now that we had 5 times as many kids plus 1 adult. Instead of that small consultation room, they took us to a big meeting hall. On top of that, the manager was there alongside the woman from
で
yesterday.
は、代表の前原くんに譲ります。
Chie Sensei sat down at the far end of the table. She was just here to look after us. Besides, like I'd said, we were the ones who were going to fight. It was fine if Chie Sensei just stayed there and watched us quietly.
代表の前原圭一です。
Oh, we got the bongos, baby.
よろしくお願いします。
ですね。昨日前原さんとお友達の方、本日はそれとは別のお話でしょうか。
I hadn't expected they would start the conversation. What were they thinking?
なんだか曖昧で自分たちに非があるのかないのか分かりかねてて。
で、ペイちゃん、ここは今日来た理由を強めに言って、非が向こうにあることをアピールすべきです。
My friends were analyzing the situation behind me. Felt like I was having a meeting with the president of a foreign country. Actually, that wasn't far from the truth. I was sort of the prime minister. I was representing the whole class. I needed to be polite but stern.
よし、この角度から攻めるか。ケイちゃん、こんな感じで言って。ね。
Mio gave me her attack plan. This really is how Mion operates best. Hell yeah. If she's weak on defense, then I can bear the brunt with impudence, while Mion issues perfect orders from behind. I took my friend's analyses and advice in consideration and calmly opened my
い
mouth.
え、その前に今日私たちが来たのは、昨日お話か申し訳ございませんが、昨日私たちが箇条書きを読み上げる程度で結構ですので。
They became quiet for a second. Might have only been a short time, but the silence felt much longer than that. Yeah, get the ass. I could see the manager's expression turning serious. He thought he was just dealing with a social studies class, but suddenly his response changed to that of one dealing with a protest group of local citizens.
私どもの方では、北条聡子さんが一時保護等を受けるべき辛い事情にあり、その対応を急ぐべきであるとの訴えがあったもの。その際、当方の職員から決して傍観ではなく、現在対応を
北条聡子の叔父が去年の時点でも虐待をしていたという事実を加味した上でも。
ですね。去年の時点では北条哲平氏が虐待を行っていたという情報は当方では確認しておりません。
はあ
Shion?
去年のあんたたちは何をおじおば夫婦で共にいじめてたんです。まさかおばだけがいじめてたって認識じゃないですよね。
本来なら個人情報なので申し上げ、去年の件ではおばの玉江氏と聡子さんにトラブルがあったことは確認しております。実際ご近所の方からの聞き込みでも玉江氏にややヒステリック。
それはおばさんが特に陰湿だったから目立っただけだと思います。
Also because he eventually fucking left. It's hard to talk about the uncle's abuse when he eventually just fucking straight up abandons everyone.
おじさんがいじめていないという証明にはならないと思います。
なるほど。では去年の時点でも哲平氏は児童に虐待を加えていた可能性がある。
The manager and the staff beside him jotted that down with a pen as if to show that that was their first time hearing the information.
つまり私たちが来たのはそういうことです。相談所に状況把握が正しく行われていないからです。聡子ちゃんが置かれている状況をちゃんと理解できたなら。
なるほど。お話は分かりました。哲平氏の件については改めて調査させていただきます。
昨日もお話ししましたが、おじは1年間育児放棄をしていた。それについて昨日はお返事がいただけませんでしたが。
もちろん当方でも哲平氏が1年間自宅を開けられていた件は把握しており、それについて哲平氏
で、おじのやつはそれになんて回答し、プライバシーで話せないってんでしょうけど、それは聡子を1年間ほったらかすに値する回答だったわけですよね。おじが沖宮の愛人の家に転がり込んでいたことが1年間ほったらかす理由になるってなら、その旨一筆入れてもらいたいです。
いえ、そうなんですか。私どもは哲平氏が聡子さんを養育するためにやむなく出稼ぎに出ていたという説明を受けておりまして。
What the
こ
hell?
のようなお話は初耳です。
God, you talk so slow. They just believe that crap?
初耳だって言うなら、聡子ちゃんは今日で3日続けて昨日から風邪という連絡は来ていますが、村に唯一の入江診療所に聡子ちゃんが診察に訪れた証拠はありません。3日も寝込むような病気で病院へ通わせない親の対応をどうお考えですか。
いえ、1日休まれたのは確認しておりますが、3日も続いているとはそれも初耳です。ただですね、私どもの職員が直接お伺いし、
Yeah, of
聡
course
子
she
さんに
does.
虐待の事実確認をして本人の否定を得ています。
Like, let me tell you, someone who's been in a similar situation, of course you're gonna deny it in front of the motherfucker that's beating you.
哲平氏と一緒に今後も住み続けたいで。
本人が虐待はないと言ったら、
そこがですね、虐待というのは児童本人にとってそうであるかどうかがとてもいじめの定義と同じですね。やってる方がいじめだと思わなくても受けている方。
それはつまり聡子ちゃんが自分。
いえ、だからそこまでもちろん相談所で客観的に判断して 児童の健全な育成にですが、聡子さんは現在それほど危機的な状態にはないと考えています。
No urgency at this point. That was exactly how the Child Consultation Center felt about Satoko's case. Our classmates who had been watching the discussion burst into an uproar.
危機的な状態にどうしてそうだと断言できるんですか？
具体的に申し上げますと、聡子さんが直接関節の暴力、また衣食住の3つが与えられ、客観的に判断して哲平氏も聡子さんも現在の生活に不満は申しておりませんでした。哲平氏の去年の接し方やこの1年間の話はとりあえずですね。
過剰な反応ですか？
落ち着いて圭一君。向こうの攻撃は軽く受け流して様子を見。
なんだって向こうは急に竹高になったんです。どうやら私たちの言う緊急性というやつが全て去年の出来事に基づいてると判断したようだね。
I see. Consultation Center was assuming that this year's cases and last year's cases were two separate issues. On top of that, Satoko was denying the abuse entirely.
哲平氏も1年間出稼ぎで今後は唯一の肉親として聡子さんに愛情を注ぐと言われております。
I heard a loud noise. Someone had just pounded the table. Everyone, including the manager, was startled. Figured it must have been Shion, but Chie? Reina! Oh! Oh! Cook the ass! I love it when Reina gets pissed. Whoa. Her face had turned as furious as a demon's. Yeah!
子供は親の元で育つ家族愛によってしか育めないものがたくさんあります。私どもが聞いているところによると、1年間これは多感な成長期にある。皆さんはお友達的な感情からその方が幸せだと思われているかもしれませんが、
あんた
つまり聡子本人が助け、お前それだったら監禁されてる聡子の場合、おじに見張られてて外出もできず、そんな状況で助けを求められない聡子に代わってそれに聞く耳はねえって。
いやだからそうクラスの皆さんがこうして20人、もちろん今日の件は聡子さんへの対応を決める。
その対応はいつその対応が決まるまでに聡子ちゃんが虐待を受け、もしも聡子に何かあったら
てめえただじゃおかねえぞ。
シオンさん言い過ぎです。係長さん、その対応を決める。
そうだ、対応を検討するって
ですから聡子さんのためにも慎重な対応を決めなければなり、当然そのためには今後も本人と哲平氏への面接、いえいえおじとか聡子さんのためを思えば一つ聡子さんのためにも。
それは私たちは緊急に保護するべきだという訴えに対し緊急性はないというお返事だと読み取らせていただいて結構なんですね。
I was starting to get lost in what they were trying to say. Verena's words made me realize everything. We came here to tell them they needed to protect her right away. They clearly told us they didn't see any reason to do so.
もちろん緊急性があるからですので、緊急性があるか否かどうか本日はそんなあたりでご理解をいただけないでしょうか。
At first glance, it sounded like they were speaking humbly, but our insistence of the urgency to Satoko's situation was spinning their wheels. They had no intention of meeting us halfway. Right, they're officials. Plus, they have authority that can change the life of an individual like Satoko. Considering that, being a little overcautious and carefully deliberating matters wasn't the wrong response for them, and I would have understood that if this wasn't so personal. But in reality, Satoko had no time to spare. We could see that, because we understood everything. We knew how Satoko would reject me after I rubbed her head because of the horrible abuse she got from her uncle. That nightmare will come true in just a few days. In that nightmare, I knew that I should save her, but I just wasted my time. I wasn't going to make the same mistake. I had to make a move immediately.
前原くん、お話ししたいことは。
はい。
では、本日はご多忙中。はい。皆さん、委員長号令。
どうもありがとうございました。
こちらこそ貴重なご意見を本当にありがとうございました。
オッケー。みんなお疲れさん。気をつけて帰りなね。
We all came back to Hinamizawa together, and it was time for us to part. As the class president, Mion gave everyone the notice we were dismissed. However, everyone stuck around to talk about what happened today. We came back to Hinamizawa on our bikes, so we didn't really get to talk with each other. Now that we gotten off of them, we finally got to say what we wanted.
みんな初めての全員で力を合わせてクラスメートのために戦うという経験が。
なんだかダム戦争の時みたいですね、こういう盛り上がり方は。そうだね、考えてみればここにいる子たちの一部はダム戦争を覚えていても参加したわけじゃないだろうしね。まああの時より紳士的ですよ。誰も血を流さないし、火炎瓶もなければ機動隊もいないし。
団結はひなみ沢の花なのです。
そうだね、おじさんも久しぶりに血がたぎってきたよ。
People in Inamizawa all got together to fight against the dam project. Everyone working together as a team means a lot to the villagers here.
一人には二人で石を投げ、二人には千人には村すべてで立ち向かえ。
何？ことわざ？
ああ、大昔に大ババ様が言ったとかいう言葉です。村全体で結束して戦えっていう
一人には二人で戦い、千人には村全体で。なるほど、常に団結して敵を圧倒しろってことか。
それだけの意味ではあり、団結して戦うという意味はもちろんですが、一人のために個人の痛みを全員で共有して我が身と思って戦おうというのが本来の意味で。
なんだかすごい、今の私たちにはすごく重みのある言葉ですね。
ってことはつまりそういうことさ。なるほどな。みんながこうして全員で協力してくれたのは俺の演説に感動したからじゃなくて、そういう団結の土壌があったからなんだな。
Classmates were all sticking around and discussing the issues surrounding Satoko. For some of them, this was like the return of the dam conflict, and also a big chance for those who never experienced it. It almost felt like a festival. Most of them thought that we didn't make much progress today, though.
前原さん、結局今日のって。
そこまで致命的に言ったわけじゃないが、
僕たちは近所だから、あいつは普通じゃないですよ。相談所があいつのことを何も今日のこれきりで終わりにしたらダメだと思います。
Tomita-kun and Okamoto-kun seemed serious. They weren't just supporting me. They wanted to make a move themselves.
僕たちも北条を助けるためにもっと。
いいよし、賛成。
Hard to believe that these are the same innocent kids who are always running around the school. I'm really happy to see them so motivated.
ああ、聡子は仲間だ。絶対に助け出す。そのためにどうかまた力を貸してくれ。
水臭い。これはクラスメートと前原さんに頼まれたから僕たちが自発的に参加しなければ。
おお、富田くんもなかなか言うようになっ。明日もまたみんなで押しかけますか。
手を休めたくないところだね。
継続は力なり。私もレナさんに同感です。でも今日と同じメンバーでまた押しかけても、また今日が効果的だったのは昨日よりも大人数で押しかけてきた。
じゃあ今日よりももっと大勢で行けばいいってことかな。
We're gonna turn back towards everyone as she spoke. We all understood what she was trying to say. Yep, go get your parents, get everyone involved. Not all children from Hinamizawa go to the Hinamizawa branch school. Oh, true. Around half of them go to the school in Okinomiya. Those children are not our classmates, but they're still our friends from around the neighborhood. Hinamizawa is a small village after all. They know Satoko as well as we do, and they also know what's going on with her right now. Rumors spread at the speed of light in Hinamizawa. I can tell that by now, everyone in the village knows about my embarrassing history of undergoing punishments.
じゃあ俺は帰ったら大輔に話してみる。あいつならきっと来てくれ。
俺も帰ったら友達みんなに電話。沖宮の学校なんだから図書館はすぐ近くだ。
そうしよう。いい流れになってきたね。まあケイちゃんの生演説がないからバイトはならないだろう。私も子供会 OB の人とかに声をかけてみる。多分3人くらいは来てくれると思う。私も学校の友人に声をかけてみます。ただ聡子や事情を知らない人たちなので、私のこういう関係。
子供以外の戦力ってのはやっぱり絶望。
懲戒関係は北条家には関わりたく。
ダム戦争以来の死がならお年寄りはリカちゃんの方で神社に出入りするお年
寄りの方がもっと。
お社様のたたりを盲信してる連中ほど。
やっぱり子供の力までが。レナ、これで何人くらいになった？
17人だよ。全員が来てくれるとは思えないけど、それでも40人も集めるな。
なんだよリカちゃん、
40人で
I grinned and tapped Rika's
足
chest.
りねえな。20人以上で押しかけて、もう20人くらいは欲しいところだぜ。
確かに60人もそんなに。
俺の名前は前原家。俺がやると言ったら必ずやる。説明は以上だ。亀田君。
I knew Kameda was gonna come into this. I fucking knew it. As soon as they were like, yeah, we'll go get our friends from Okonome, I'm like, oh, you're gonna rub Kameda into it,
明日
aren't
の夕
you?
方に第三波攻撃どうか力を貸してくれ。
K の頼みなら俺たちは同じジャンボパフェをつつ、それは義兄弟の血だから。俺もでも明日だけは
なんだと。なんだよお前、リアル少女の危機にも立ち上がれないのか。
Where's your pride as a
二次
two-dimensional
元戦士
warrior?
の誇りはどうした。貴様を修正する。歯を食いしばれ。
待って、俺の言い分。俺も普段の日だったら、そりゃ俺もメイド姿のさとこちゃんに惚れてます
Jesus
し、
Christ.
普段なら
Oh, Jesus
睨まれ
Christ.
ながら罵られるなんて最高ですよ。
I'm trying to see what the long censored word is. Because obviously the first one, he's saying he loves flat-chested. What is... In other words I can think of fit that.
でも明日だけは
なんだと言ってみろカメラ。てめえ親の葬式程度だったら奥歯の3本は覚悟しやがれ。
だって明日はデザートフェスタの当日なんですよ。
何。
ケイさん、デザートフェスタっすよ。デザートフェ
The
スタ。
dessert festa!
俺らの間じゃ
The
より優雅にデザフェって呼んでるっす。
How could you possibly expect me to miss that? That's my whole
フェがひらがな
personality.
なのがポイント高めなんです。実は俺チケットが当選してるっすよ。他の誰も誘いません。ケイさん、俺と一緒にデザフェに行きましょう。そして俺と一緒に生クリーム少女たちをベロベロと。
はい、指導指導指導指導指導指導指導。
これごまビヒー。そんな翌日からならだから明日だけどうかよろしくお願い。
ケイチ君、とりあえず明日だけは許してあげてもいいんじゃないのかな。
いやダメだ。今日は勘弁だな。カメだってめえ。ケーキとリアル少女天秤少女を大切にできるか。そもそも貴様はサトコの良さが分かってない。いいか、そもそもサトコの魅力は一見ツンツン、フラグが立つとデレデレのツンデレにある。
ツンデレ。
ツンデレ最大の魅力はツンとデレの格差にあるのは貴様も知っているはずだ。普段はツンツンしてて色気のかけらもないのに、スイッチが入ると途端にデレデレ。
I understand you're trying to appeal to Kameda here. I would say there's no eroticism involved with Satoko.
このオンオフの段差こそが魅力なんだよ。それはまさに前半と後半でシナリオがガラッと変わる日暮らしそのものじゃないか。つまりサトコこそは
Okay.
ミス日暮らし。
We're getting real meta with it. All right. Satoko's the true Miss Higurashi.
そこに今や定番のスパイス妹味が加わり、しかも属性は総受け。程よい反抗心は実に心地よく、恋愛依存症っぽいヒロインが氾濫するこの世界に颯爽と降臨したニュージェネレーション。
New generation.
どのくらいすごい降臨かってと、あ あれだ、金色の野に姫姉様が降臨するくらいすげえぞ。神じゃねえからな。ウプウプとかパス希望とか言ってんじゃねえぞ。その魅力を分からずに貴様なんだ、二次元選手の誇りはないのか。何、ポリゴンの発達で今は疑似三次元だと。100年早いわ。ヒロインがわずか8色で256個のドットで表現されていた時代の先人たちは、そこに愛と萌えを見出してより高い次元へ思いを昇華させてきたのだ。それは全て二次元への逃避ではない、現実の女性を愛するがゆえの愛の昇華。
True.
ヴィーナス像もモナリザも全て先人たちの萌えの結晶だぞ。
What a fucking statement. For our progenitors' feelings of
ち
moe.
なみに浮世絵は日本の萌えの発祥だと思う。
The girl, I don't know what you're referencing there.
に
Dragon?
ょーんと曲がった顔が可愛い時代があったんだ。さらに余談だが、絵巻物のお姫様はすごいよな。ぷくぷくとした頬と細い目が美人なのはまだいい。風呂も入らず香りでごまかすとは何事。お風呂上がりのちょっとした蒸気した顔にこそ美しさを見出すのは俺だけか。しかもあんな重い十二一駅で生活なんて。でもな、かつての男どもは燃えたんだよ。すだれとついて。そう、俺たち男は想像力を働かせて壁の向こうの真実を探り、真のプレシャスを思い描いて冒険する求道者だったのだ。それなのに貴様は高く分厚い壁を一切経ないリアルの少女をなぜ選べないというのか。それは目的を忘れ手段に溺れた想像の中の女性像は現実を否定する存在ではない。俺たちは現実の女性をこよなく愛し、故に想像の世界からそれを高度に再現できる新世代男子なのだ。そもそも現実より美しい存在なのに想像というのが良くない。なんだか逃避しているみたいだからな。ほらあれだ、テレビドラマの俳優に惚れるのは正常だが、アニメのキャラに燃えるのは危険分子扱いされる今の風潮がそれを反映している。
You know, I see where you're going.
とりあえず俺が言いたいのは、リアルを愛するからこそアニメのキャラは可愛いんだ。
I mean, sorry, Keiichi, but eventually, both of them.
いやもちろんリアルポリゴンのキャラも捨てがたいんだけどね。
Oh yeah, no, I'm sure you go crazy for Dead or Alive.
余談だけど、最近の3次元ポリゴン技術なら疑似アニメキャラを作れる。本当？そんなことはどうでもいい。リアル少女のために一肌脱がんかい壁だ。
すみません。俺は一体何を勘違いし。
いいんだ壁。過ちは気づくためにある。そしてお前は気づいてまた男をでかくした。さあ俺の手を取れ。ミレニアムの扉はすぐ目の前にあるぞ。
圭一くんと亀田くんすっごい楽しそうなんだけどレナちっとも話についていけない。
ついていかなくていい、ついていかなくて。
Yeah, don't try to get involved in
K
that.
の話は俺も男だ。女の子を救うためだ。デザートフェスタは年にそのうちの1回くらい行けなくったって
未練タラタラなのです。
あ、そういえば例の叩き売りオークションの司会の報酬に確かデザートフェスタの。どうだ亀田君、そのうちの1年。
いや俺も男だ。女の子を助けるために報酬で釣られたなんて言う。
しーちゃん何か優遇してあげられないのかな。
ブラックリスト帳消しで。
ブラックリストなんだそりゃ。
ああ、一般の人は知らないよね。エンジェルモートはこういうお店だから、それで困った人の名前はどんどん書いていって、一定ポイントに達したら漏れなく入店お断りの刑になるってわけよ。
よしてくれよ。このエンジェルモートマスターの俺がそんなブラックリストに乗るようなの。
出会い頭を装ったおさわり2回、頼む気のないオーダーコール、チケットの店外取引エトセトラであと1点で入店お断りだったりしてます。
そんなのこエンジェルモートに入店禁止なんてなったら
ではありますけど、ですのでこれを。
ありがとうございますありがとうございます。
ねえみーちゃん、本当にブラックリストなんて
さーてね、おじさんは
亀田君、本当にすまん。デザートフェスタでは落選したら俺に声をかけろ。絶対に同席者に混ぜてやるからな。
Okay. Oh, God. We reaffirmed our strong friendship.
明
Hell
日
yeah.
の夕方、うちの野球部の連中と沖宮タイタンズの連中、それで悪くても10人ちょいは集まるはずだぜ。話を聞く限りじゃ、なんなら回りくどいことしねえで直接締めちまった方が早いんじゃないですか。
ダメだよ。暴力で解決すれば必ずその仕返しがさとこちゃんに跳ね返る。
なるほど、命を奪うってわけにはいか。分かったぜ。正々堂々正面から勝負でいきましょうっす。みんな球児だからよ。
だがな、他に声はかけられる当てはねえか。
へへ、まだ兵隊が足りないってか。ここまで来たらとことん行くっすよ。
Kamada grinned at me, then suddenly stood up and shouted.
野郎ども、明日のチケットが当選しているやつまで。でもな、もし明日が空いているなら
Everyone in the
力を貸せ。
everyone in the restaurant looked at him. There are a lot of people around. The dessert fiesta is tomorrow, so shouldn't today have just been a normal day?
違うんです。デザートフェスタを落選した常連、ここにいるのは皆常連。名前は知らずとも同じ同志諸君。さっき
聞けば聞くほどに腸が煮えくり。
痛いけな女の子を泣かせるなんて男に生まれたものとして見
Fucking a
過ご
girl
せ
up?
ないんだ
That's
な。
my dream. I mean, that's terrible.
女の子を大切にできん愚か者め。拙者が
想像の中ならともかく、リアルとの区別もつかぬとは論外でござるよ。
どうしけ、黙ってついてこいって。俺たちはあんたの食い。沖宮中隊着艦整列。どうしけ、いつでも突
佐古城救出作戦開始は明日夕刻。時計を合わせろ。遺書は書いておけ。どうせ死ぬならこの時だ。
みんな見ず知らずの貞子のために。
見ず知らずだからといって
それに我々は里子城のことも城がよく顎のところにクリームがついているのに気づかなかったりするとき、同胞は胸の奥からこみ上げる桃色の感情に酔わされるのでありよって人事ではないのであります。
よし、わかった。てめえらの命はてめえらには明日の夕方だ。気合を入れやがれ。ケイ
イチくんって意外なところでも人気者なんだね。
うちの町会もそうだけど、本人の預かり知れぬところで評判が高いんだよ。同性に訴えるカリスマでもあるのかね。お店の子たちも聡子の事情に同情してくれてるみたいで、非番で近所の。
すごい。本当に60人を集めちゃ、あるいはそれ以上に集まるのかもしれない。これが運命を打ち破ろうとする力なの。
Let's go. Let's go. That night, I attended a meeting for the Watanagachi Festival Committee. Everyone assembled at the meeting room in the Huride Shrine. I'd seen the building a few times, but I hadn't actually been inside before. There were pictures depicting the history of the dam conflict on the wall. According to Mio, this assembly building had been used as the headquarters of the dam protest back in the day. There was a huge flag that said Onagahuchi Guardians hanging on the wall. People had written messages on it. I'd been called to the meeting so I could introduce myself. While I'd been chosen to be the host of the auction several days ago, this was my first time actually attending a meeting. There were about 30 committee members in the room, and my dad and I were introduced to them. Since I'm still a minor, I had to bring him along with me. I'd often heard the term parental rights recently because of Satoko's situation. Because of that, I'd been thinking about the relationship between me and my dad. The Maibara family is a pretty happy one, I think. I'm blessed to have parents like them.
どうも。推薦を初めての経験ですから緊張してますけど、どうかよろしくお願いします。
いいよ。いいぞいいぞ、頑張れ。
Their friendly smiles and applause made me realize again how welcoming people are in this village. I felt pressured as I thought about how big of a responsibility I was going to undertake at the festival. Since I looked so nervous, the leaders of the committee all came up to me and said that I could just act natural and do my thing.
どうも。この度は仕事柄なかなか懲戒かつ私も圭一も微力ながら全力を尽くさせていただきますので、一つよろしくお願いいたします。
My dad must be used to making speeches.
それでは各部会ごとに席を。時間は20時50分までです。それではよろしくお願いします。
Festival committee can be broken up into different teams, like a general affairs team, a construction team, a refreshment booth team, and a ceremony team. Each team has separate meetings. My dad and I were told to join the event team. But after all, we joined toward the end without knowing anything, and the festival was next Sunday too. I didn't understand anything they were saying, and I couldn't even express any opinions anyway. Nodding and pretending to participate in the proceedings was the most we could do. Near the end, I finally got the information about the auction I needed, found out about what time I was supposed to be backstage, and other stuff about my job like that. They asked me what I was going to wear, and I stopped short. I thought I could just wear my regular clothes, but they suggested that I should wear something more flashy since I was the host of the event. But I don't have any clothes like that.
なら圭一、スーツに蝶ネクタイでも十分司会っぽい雰囲気は出るだろう。
蝶ネクなんだか恥ずかしいな。もうちょっと普通っぽい服装じゃダメなの？
どうよケイちゃん、話し合いは進んでる？ところで服装って何の話？
オークションの司会の服装ですね。目立つ服がないのであれば私の方で都合い
I
たし
heard
ま
you
しょう
say
か。
Meido. I heard you say it.
本当ですか？あ、ご挨拶が遅れてすみません。私、圭一の父でございます。
父さん、この人の都合する服はやめよう。
Dad, please, no, not this man.
絶対男物じゃない。蝶ネクタイ最高。
You know what? The bow tie idea sounds great,
当
actually.
日はそれで行くよ。
If I didn't compromise on that, Ide and Mion would try to make me wear something outrageous. She'd also want me to wear women's clothes.
監督も実行委員なんで、監督は何の部会なんですか？
監督は総務部で医療担当だよ。お医者さんだからね。毎年お願いしてるんだよ。
たまに転んだ人にバンドエイドを貼るくらいです。本部テントでビールを飲んでるだけの楽な役ですよ。前原さんの退任にはかないません。私も楽しみにしてますからね。
いや
僕も入江と一緒に本部で泡麦茶をみぱー。
それはいけませんよ、フルデさん。前原くん、それからお父様。
ああ、どうも先生。うちの具足がいつも大変お世話になっております。前原君、準備は万端であるかね。わしも司会を楽しみにしておるぞ。
Felt weird to see Chie-sensei and the principal outside of school.
リカちゃんも奉納演舞ってのがある。俺のすぐ後の催しなんだってな。楽しみにしてるぞ。
神事だからね。真剣にやらなきゃならないから。今年の自信は？
もう慣れてますから全然平気。
おお、去年初めてやったのにもう慣れちゃったとはね。
Yeah, sure.
さすがだね。
前原さん、ご無沙汰。
あ、大石さん、チャッス。お久しぶりです。
あの後もちゃんとツバメ返しの練習はしてますか？今度ぜひ一緒に打ちま。はいに毎日触れてないと上達しませんからね。
おや？前原さんも。
ねえ、打てるどころかね。彼は相当な少年雀士ですよ。
我が部でも本格的に麻雀修行を取り入れようかね。
部活メンバーで雀荘を荒らしまくりなのですよ。
Ash-san thinks I'm an experienced player since I was practicing Tsubame Gaishi the other day. Why do people misunderstand me all the time?
そうだ、話は聞いてますよ。
例の件？
明日の夕方の話です。入江診療所からは私と手すきのスタッフ高野さんと富武さんも応援に行くそうですよ。大した人数にはなりませんが。
それはすごい。ありがとうございます。一人でも参加してくれれば本当に嬉しいです。
いりえ。
聡子ちゃんを直接救う手がなく、これは高野さんが言い出したことなんですよ。
高野が。
ええ、せめて何かの形、先日の件で協力できなかったことを少し悔やんでいたようでした。
ああ、ひょっとしてなんだが、前原さんが陳情団の団長さ
ってことは聡子の話。
そりゃあ知ってる。何しろひなみ沢界隈の噂には敏感なお人だ。
仕事柄やむなく。まあ、聡子さんの件はそこそこには。
大石さん、聡子ちゃんの件なんですが、どうお考えですか？
Oishi-san is, after all, a police officer. Could he maybe have an option other than going to the Child Consultation Center?
私も児童相談所に対応をお願いするのが。
じゃあ大石さんも何かあるまで聡子を救う方法はないと言うんですか？
同じ相談が警察にあったら、せいぜい訪問してご家族の仲を良くするよう指導するのが関の山です。しかも専門の相談所さんに比べたら、餅は餅屋に任せた方がいいだろうと思いますね。
警察は事実上何かがあった後にしか、児童相談所は何かある前に動くことができる分、
何か起こす前に逮捕できりゃ我々も楽な商売なんですがね。一般的に強い権力が与えられている官庁ほどそれを発動するのに慎重です。乱用されたらたまらないですからね。
それを言われると、聡子の件をもうしばらく様子見をしたいという相談所の
個人的には、ただ聡子さんと哲平さんの関係をよく知る皆さんから見ると、それが悠長に見えるという、そういうことだろうと思います。
Oishi-san was exactly right. He must be assuming that we're overreacting by making such a big fuss. It's only been a couple of days since he took her away. That mindset can create huge problems.
今日の陳情で3日も投稿してないって話。聡子さんが投稿していないようですがってね。
それを聞いて哲平。
わかりません。ただそれでもなお聡子ちゃんを投稿させない相談所もその点は強く指導すると思います。
じゃあ明日からは聡子は。
ありえるね。哲平はとある事情で沖宮にいられなくなってるら。だから聡子の家に居座りたいんだよね。だからこれ以上トラブルはごめんだと思う。
とある事情ですか？
そうそう、とある事情。いられなくしてるのは上納金絡みで何やらあったらしいと聞いてる。園崎さんはその辺ご存
さて、大石さんの話がわかりませんね。
Yeah, I have no idea what might have happened.
どういうことだミオ。哲平が聡子の家に居座りたい理由って何？
哲平がね、とある金銭トラブルで沖宮界隈に顔を出しにくくなっちゃってるんだってさ。それでほとぼりが冷めるまでひなみ沢で過ごそうって考えてるらしいんだよ。
それならば聡子ちゃんを召使い感覚で引きずり込むなど言語道断です。
聡子メイド化を目論む入江も同じ穴の無地なだと思いますです。
違います違いますよ。メイドとは愛が根底にあるのです。ご奉仕お仕置きはあっても暴力はない。愛のないご主人様などありえないのです。
あの不審者は放っておこ
う。Thank you.
じゃあ大石のおじさま的には児童相談所に任せて様子見するほかないって見解ですか？
それが現実的だと思いますな。世の中にはちゃんと踏まなければならない手。おしっこするとき、まずはおトイレに行ってその手順をちゃんとやらなければ大変なことになってしまうのと同じです。
なんちゅう例えですか。
But it's a graphic one, gets the point across.
下品親父。
お役に立てですが、聡子さんの件は気の毒に思って皆さんが一番納得できる形で決着できるよう祈っております。
対応を決めるのは相談所ですが、その対応に意見するために陳情することは、だから前原さんのされている努力は決して間違ったものではありません。 どうか自信を持ってくじけずに頑張ってください。もちろん私も。
ありがとうございます。昨日今日と仕掛け、もちろん明日も仕掛けるつもりで、くじけないことだけが聡子のためになると信じてますから。
ほう、3日で。さっき聞いた話じゃ、今日明日もそれだけ集められるんですか？
そこはケイちゃんやってくれますからね。
聞いて驚け。なんと60人もなのです。
そりゃすごい。前原さんは大きくなったら労組の幹部で活躍しそうですね。うちの組合は情けないったらありゃしない。
In that moment, I heard someone clapping. It was almost 9 p.m. The meeting was over. Everyone returned to their seats and listened to each section head's report on what they discussed.
ケイチはすごいな。町会の中に知り合いだらけじゃない。
いや、知らない人の方が圧倒的。
そうか？さっきも大勢と話をし。大したもん。案外話してみるといい人ばかりだし。
そうしなよ。ひなみ沢ってのは仲間同士で団結する。お父さんも仕事が忙しいのはわかるけど。
そうだな。帰ったら母さんにも話してみるよ。
では以上で次はおっと明日もあったんだっけ？また明日です。それが最後の全体部会になりますので、どうも今日は委員長終わりの挨拶をお願いします。
I'm sorry. The chairman is asking the chairman to give some closing remarks.
いやいや、そんなのいいから。早く帰って一杯やろうよ。はい、おしまい。また明日同じ時間でよろしくお願いいたします。
Everyone laughed at Mayor Kimiyoshi's closing remarks. We finished cleaning up and everyone began filing out of the building. Even though it was a weekday, some of them were going out for drinks. I asked my dad to go along with them. My dad isn't an ordinary worker. He can sleep in if he wants to, as long as he makes his deadlines.
ケイチ、お父さんな。ちょっとお酒に誘う。
行ってらっしゃい。俺は先に帰ってるよ。
Going home alone was kind of sad, so I thought I'd walk home with Mion, but she was still lingering at the meeting, talking with the mayor and other important people. She was probably busy with the festival being so near. As I contemplated whether to wait for her or not, Oishi-san came up to me.
どうもお疲れ様。なんで来られました？歩きならご自宅まで送り。
自転車。それに俺、ミオンを待とうと思うんで。
そうですか。でも多分模擬店部会のトラブルが尾を引いてるみたいなので。
模擬店のトラブル？楽しいお祭りなのに、やっぱりトラブルはあるんですね。
ありま。模擬店だって調整が大変ですよ。誰だって人気の焼きそばやかき氷をやりたい。でも全部のお店が焼きそばになったらつまらないでしょ。だからいろいろ調整をしていろんな品目のお店が並ぶように。そうなると売れない品目を当てられた町会が文句を言う。なら品目は毎年持ち回りにしようってことになると、うちの町会は人が少ないからそんなに手は出せないとか、うちの町会の焼きそばの方が好評だとか、まあいろいろあるわけ。あとプロの露店さんより場所を優遇してくれとか、水場が近い方がいいとか、もうたくさん。
お祭りって裏方は結構大変なんですね。
物事には何事も調整ってもんがあります。水面下での調整なんていうと、若い前原さんは嫌な大人のルールみたいに聞こえるでしょうが、世の中の潤滑油として大切なんですよ。前原さんが得られている相談所への陳情だってある意味水面下交渉ですよ。当事者の哲平さんや聡子さんたちは知らないわけだから。
そう言われると。でも俺たちは声を上げるしかない。それだけが戦う方法ですから。
いえいえ、ご立派です。私が前原さんぐらいの年頃だったらきっと哲平さんを闇討ちしてやろうなんて考えたに違いないですから。いや
She must have had no other plans. He stuck around while I waited for Mion. There was no one else around at that time of night. It would have felt pretty lonely if he hadn't been there with me. I'm glad Oishi stayed to chat. We talked about Mahjong for a while. Its theory, techniques, and history. I rarely talked with a guy his age, so it was very interesting for me. It's nice to interact with people from a different generation sometimes. He's also a police officer. I was secretly hoping they'd give me a hint about how to save Satoko. In any case, I had to wonder what was taking me on so long. By the time Oishi-san finished his second cigarette, I started to think that maybe I should just go home for the night.
じゃあ俺はミオンの話明日も学校終わったら気合十分で臨まない。
相談所への陳情で。
ええ、里子を助けるという決定が出され、継続は力なりって言いますし、俺たちにはこれしか戦う方法が残ってないんで。
Oishi-san smiled upon hearing my passionate words.
相談所の方には昨日今日で十分意志が伝わる。物事には限度ってもんがあるでしょう。喧嘩もほどほどの引き際がやりすぎるとかえってややこしく。
でも里子を見殺しにはできません。
そりゃそうです。相談所だって見殺しにはしませんよ。きっと助けてくれます。
助けてはくれるでしょうが、多分それは虐待が起こった後です。里子の心に消せない傷が刻まれた後では遅すぎるんです。
Oishi took out his third cigarette. It meant he was going to stay here until he finished it. I didn't feel like waiting here with him though. I just wanted to go home and relax so I could prepare for tomorrow.
じゃあ俺はこれで失礼します。
ですね、前原さん。ちょいと小耳に入れたいお話がありまして。
The tone of his voice had changed slightly. Whatever it was, it sounded important. I stopped and turned back around to face him.
いえね、もう十分に相談所に意見は伝えたんで。
でもこれは里子を救うために
Yeah,
必
he's
要な
gonna
喧嘩で
say
す。
appeal to the Sonozaki family, right? Because that's kind of where I figured this might take a turn. Because they keep, mentioning that fact that, like, oh yeah, no, the Sonozaki family still harbors that grudge against the Hojos and whatnot. So they're not willing to, put out any influence to try to make things happen or anything. Mm-hmm.
連中には危機感がない。俺たちが騒ぐことでしかそれが伝えられないなら、俺たち3日連続で仕掛ければより効果は上がると思ってます。
3個の例ってわけだ。でもね、前原さん、藪をつっついて蛇を
蛇？
先にこれは警察の忠告でもないし、誰か同じ牌を握ったジ友としての忠告と思って聞いてください。
I see. The word advice didn't sound pleasant at all. So I'm guessing the rumors gotten around to the consultation center and they're like, if this group approaches, we're gonna have them arrested. Felt myself frowning involuntarily.
児童相談所はですね、2日連続できた上に今日は20人。しかも話し合いは物別れに終わっ
そこまで分かってるなら、まさか俺たちが入れないように入り口にバリケードでも。
いえいえ、お役所は陳情をどのような意見であれですから、相談所側は、そしてそれはだからですね、前原さんがこれ以上、
それは里子を助け出す判断を早期に出し、
あなたがこれ以上押しかけてこないよう水面下で調整を開始したということです。
What, they got some kind of restraining order?
何ですかそれ?
They made a secret adjustment so that I couldn't bother them anymore. I felt confused, and then Oishi-san said something that almost sounded like a line from a political drama.
お役所もですね、ヤクザとちょっと大門を舐められたくないんです。自分たちの決定を覆すような、たとえ役所が間違っていること。
住民に一度でも屈すると言えば任せると思った人。
そんなとこな舐められたらおしまいな家業なんですよ。だから役人は陳情を聞きはしますが、しかも今回の聡子さんの件は親権者が子供を連れ戻すのは民法に定められた。例えば離婚した父母が相手の元に行った我が子を連れ戻したりとか、そういうややこしいことに比べたら、唯一の肉親がよりを戻し、つつましやかに生活している現在の状況。
でもそれは里子のおじ大石さんだって。あいつがどんなに乱暴で去年の
話、それを反省するって頭を下げられたら、そして何よりも
里子は去年兄にだからあいつの中では虐待に対して助けを求める行為は
なるほどね。確かにそれを相談所に説明するのはまあとにかくそんなわけで、相談所にとっては
だから鉄平は乱暴な男で、あいつのところに里子を置いておいたら。
どうしてです？こう言っちゃ失礼だが、鉄平さんについてそう詳しいにもかかわらず、どうしてそこまで鉄平さんを危険視できるんですかね。
That was a hard question to answer. He was right. I didn't know much about Teppei. I'd never even seen his face. But I just know. Way back in a different world. I didn't save Satoko. I just stood by and I've seen the world where Satoko was irreversibly broken. We all cried and regretted it. I couldn't explain that to Oishi though. My friends had understood my premonition, but it's weird for someone to be so aggressive just based on what he saw in his imagination.
さっきもちょっと例を出しましたが、相手が訴えることもありますし、中には子供のための訴えではなく、相手が嫌いで貶めるのが目的での訴えもあります。今回のケースはそれにも前原さんは北条哲平を私的に嫌っていて、だから相談所は前原さんの意見が善意なのか、前原さんのように正義感だけで陳情に来る方ばかりではない。相談所は常に陳情者に悪意がある可能性を疑いながらそこを分かってあげないと。
つまり俺があまりに喧嘩腰にやりすぎたんで悪意ある陳情だと誤解。
いいえ、ただ見極めるためにもし怒鳴り込むだけで当事者の預かり知れぬところで一時保護が乱発されたら日本は大変な国になってしまいますよ。
That's right. I think there was a passage in the civil law book the center showed us that first day. The family or the prosecutor must make an appeal to the family court. Family issues have to be resolved within the family. An outside appeal might move the center to take action, but an outsider can't tell them how to respond. When it comes to that, Satoko's only family is her uncle. Since her uncle obviously wasn't going to do anything about this, Satoko would have to seek help on her own. But Satoko's denying that she's being abused at all. This isn't going anywhere.
だからお役所もですね、聡子さん以外にも。ただ、本当にお断りしてもいいものなのか。これが少々厄介な今日お話ししたかったことなんです。
Interesting.
どういう意味です？わかりにくかったです。
前原さん、今日行かれた時は昨日よりも待遇がよくありません。
ええ、多少広い会議室になって係長が直接対応してくれました。
前原さんは係長なんて聞くと、でもですね、お役所の係長というのはもちろん昇進試験も権限もそれに今日前原さんの対応をしてくれた方は前原さん普通ありませんよ。窓口対応で直接係長級が出てくるなんて。前原さんは相応に丁寧な対応を受けたことを理解する必要があります。
It never seemed that special to me. Thought we were taken to a big room because we went there with more people, and Reina told them to adjust to us.
相談所はですね、あまりに組織的に来られたもので、表向きは代表が前原さんってことになってますが、園崎家がどういうものかは日が浅いとはいえ、前原さんも村に住んでる以上
多少は。でも園崎家なんか全然関係ないです。これは俺たちの中。その証拠にミオンは園崎の名字を伏せてますし。
そこを相談所は知りたかった。普通なら多少はトラブルがありながらも前原さんのような陳情は参考程度にとどめ丁重にですが、もしこれが園崎本家、お嬢さんは市長との個人的に回すことは。
ミオンのおばあさんがそういう力を持っているって話は知ってますけど、
関係あるかないかを確認するためにお嬢さんに直接この件を確認したらしい。それでもしお嬢さんの意思だとは、でもお嬢さんの
迅速に対応してくれないってことですか？
それだけでは。お嬢さんは村の中でそういう知っているかどうか分かりませんが、この村では未だにダム戦争の戦犯である北条家に恨みを持つ人間、お社様のたたり以降、園崎本家からは一切このままだと蛇が出てきかねません。
その蛇が出てくると
さてどうなるんでしょうね。
Oishi paused for a while and drew on his short cigarette.
別に脅されるとか指を詰められるとか、ただせっかく前原さんがひなみ沢に引っ越されて住民の方とも仲良くなれて新生活を頑張ろう。
The issues between the Hojo family and the Sonozaki family. Well, village-wide matters have been slightly taboo in our group, but we may have to go down that road now. It's a fact that we haven't gotten any support from adults except for the school teachers and Irie. Other adults in the village must know what happened between Satoko and Teppei last year. They'll understand that it would be a disaster if we don't rescue Satoko as soon as possible. However, no adult came forward to help us.
このままやりすぎると北条家を未だに嫌っている人たちを
かもしれない。前原さんが望む望まないにかかわらず、園崎家は今も変わらずアンチ北条家です。前原さんが里子さんを救うのがひなみ沢の総意みたいな感じで動かれると、
At that point, I knew.
園崎本家としては顔は潰れるわ。おりょうさんの立場が微妙になるわと。いろいろややこしくなるんでしょう。
This was a warning, not just advice. An ignorant young man in Hinamizawa was making noise, trying to wake up a sleeping dog.
前原さんがこの土地を気に入られてとても元気に頑張っている。だからこそ余計なお世話とは思ったんですが、小耳に入れた方がよろしいかと思ってお話しさせていただきました。不愉快な話をして申し訳ありませんでしたね。
I love Hinamizawa. I made a decision to make this place my home. I'm motivated about the big job I got for the festival too. Would it really be wise for me to try and create all this trouble?
男優としてお話しした。決して何が私の話を聞いて、ただ参考までお話ししただけです。
Oish smiled at me, then stomped on his cigarette. Thought I had just made the decision to do what was right. Was that only the stupid idea of an ignorant little boy? Do I need to grow up right now and think about this again? Dark clouds hung over my heart. But, wait a minute. Did that mean I didn't even have the courage to risk losing something? Was I not brave enough to save Satoko at all? I had to be the Red Fire. I couldn't give up, even if everybody else did. Yup, bring in the bongos, baby. Don't you dare doubt yourself, buddy. I had to fill other people up with righteous flames just like I was.
おやどうしまなかなか不敵な表情で。
いえでも俺そんな程度のことで里子を救うのが無理だぞ。
世界中の人に言われてもで、それはなかなか男らしいことですね。
That's right, big man. You can't stop me. We got the power of friendship and bongos, baby.
もちろん世界中の人が俺の間違いを指摘するなら俺も真摯に聞いて間違いを改めなければならないこともあるかもしれない。でも里子の件については仲間たちと十分に話し合った。決して俺個人の浅はかな思い込みなんかじゃない。これが最善の方法であると自信を持って言えます。
いえ、おっしゃると前原さんくらいの若い方なら前原さんはその点において実に冷静です。主張すべきことがあったらそれは入江先生も言われた通り民主国家のルールに基づいた正しいやり方です。
ですよね。だから俺は自分が間違ってるなんて思いません。俺の仲間を救うため最善手を尽くします。それにちょっと脅されたからってそれで仲間を売るようなやつだったらそいつに仲間なんて名乗る資格はありません。世界中が認めなくても自分だけは信じる。それが仲間ってもんでありたいと思ってます。
なかなかの強い意志。うちの若いのでもそこまで言えるのはなかなかいません。
Oh shit. I was so in the zone I even stopped reading. Holy shit. Arsan gave me a wicked grin of admiration. I could tell that from that grin. He wasn't trying to pressure me at all. It was exactly the opposite of that. He had shared this information with me to confirm that I was ready to face this challenge. I didn't even have to consider whether his words were advice or a warning.
男には周りが信じてくれなくても自分だけは信じ続けたいことってもちろん忠告には真摯に耳を傾けるべきですが、それでもそれが男ってもんじゃないんすか。
いえね、 実は私も5年ほど前、私の兄貴と言ってもいい方が
殺人事件ですか？
解決した事件ではありますがね。私は黒幕がいると睨んで、署内の全員からもう解決した事件なんだからやめろと言われてるのですが、私も前原さんのそれに近いのかもしれません。
その黒幕というのには迫れそうな。
さてさてね。まあそれはともかく、前原さんがそれだけの覚悟を持たれているなら、信じた者に。私だって退職金を満額でもらいたかったら少しは自重しろみたいな脅しはしょっちゅう受けてますよ。でもくじけませんから。男って愚直であることでしか語れないことって多いもんです。いやいや、まったくまったく。たとえ両面リーチが入っても絶対に降りられない局面ってのがありますよ。危険牌を強打してでも天牌を貫きたい。それで仮に振り込んじゃっても、それが男の道ってもんです。どうせ倒れるなら前向きに。
そうっすよね。行くか戻るかうろうろしてるなんて男の見せる態度じゃないです。
That's how a man should be. We bumped our fists together, reaffirming that real men are the same regardless of their generation. Wow, not the direction I expected that conversation to go, but hell yeah, let's go. It wouldn't be a simple road to saving Satoko, but I was never going to give up. I was going to save her. I had no doubts about that. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Well, from one of those titles, we can already kind of tell the where that one's going. No relations.
お待ちください。今変わりますね。ああ。もしもし。
No, I was gonna say, sitting there like, have I heard Orio's voice before? But like, no, I'm pretty sure we did back in chapter 5, I think.
どうも園崎顧問、こんにちは。自治の先日はおはぎよ。
いいねいいね。こちらこそ文化祭りの時は世話になったね。野立がさのけ。ありがとよ。あれ、一本いくらくらい。すったら毎年使うもんなんだから。
あれはですね、一応先生からの借り物になっておりまして、一応値段を調べたんですが、国産だと20万ぐらいするらしいんですよ。
For a parasol? I'm sorry, does parasol mean something else to y'all in overseas? A large parasol? I'm guessing like one for like maybe a table, sure, right? Like a large one to cover like, unless you're talking about parasol in a totally different light than I am. But like even if we do like that's like 2,000 US dollars, baby. The fuck you doing spending $2,000 on a parasol? A parasol? Am I bugging? If I go to Google and I search large parasol, yeah, that's insane. 'Cause like even like the most expensive one I see here is like $250. Like, unless you added an extra zero, that's way too much. Fuck you mean $2,000 on a large parasol? What the hell? Like, because it's domestically made, the price shoots up that much? That's insane. That, like, and that's the thing. The most expensive one I'm seeing just in my quick Google search is like $250. The vast majority of them are under $100. Like, $89.99, $75.99, $69.99, $93. Like, the vast majority of them are like under 100, but like the most expensive ones, and like that 250 one really stands out. Other one, there's one for like 144, 159, 129, but like 2000. And I mean, if we go by like more modern conversion rates, it might be closer to like 1400, 1500, but even still, over 1,000. To even be near 1,000 is insane, but to be even close to 2,000, what the hell? That's like, am I bugging on the conversion rate? Like let me just double check my math here, but I'm pretty sure that's ridiculous. Yeah, no. By today's rate, that would be $1,200. And that's the thing. Back in the 80s, the yen was stronger compared to the dollar at the time, at least that I know of. I'm pretty sure. Because I'm pretty sure the yen is at like one of its lowest points that it's been in. But yeah, like 200,000 Japanese yen is currently in the modern day $1,200. That's disgusting. Who the hell is spending $1,200 on a goddamn parasol? That's fucking nuts, dude. What are you talking about? How big is that damn parasol? Was it what? Let me. Okay, gotta go back to Google real quick. I keep closing the window and then I'm like, wait, no, let's double check another thing. Large parasol. All right, where's that 251? Okay, it's a rectangular one that is 9 feet by 12.5 feet. It's a rectangular one that is 9 by 12.5, which I don't know what that is in me. That's like roughly 3 meters by 4 meters. If I just do like the quick math in my head, that's not exactly right, but let's just say roughly 3 meters by 4 meters for those of you who think in meters. That's like, if that's how much 9 feet by 12 feet, it costs like $250 by the modern day price. You're looking at something that is nearly 6 times that price. How big is this goddamn parasol? Y'all fucking... Because if I'm thinking like damn near 6 times the price, let's say 5 times the price, right? Let's say it's 5 times... Actually, it's probably closer to 5 times the price. If we think 5 times the price, then I can only assume 5 times the size, right? A 45-foot by 60-foot fucking parasol would be nuts. That's fucking insane. At that point, you're ordering just like a whole ass tent, a whole ass gazebo, right? Like, that's insane. Anyway, I've gotten hung up on this parasol for long enough. Let's continue, shall we?
中国製によく似たものがありまして、こっちなら8万円ぐらいでなんとか買えそうでして。
Okay, it must be the domestics of it, I guess. Well, yeah, because all the cheap shit's made in China. Less than half the price, yeah.
別に中国製でもどこ製でも構わんや。お呼びする先生に失礼ならんとよ。よう選んどくれな。
一応ですね、今その8万の傘の方を取り寄せさせていただいております。
それからもう3年江戸千家が続いとるんね。表でも裏でもいいから。
ああ、はあ、そうですか。わかりました。ちょっとこちらでもお茶の先生をさ。それでですね、実は今日はちょっと。
こっちの傘の話ばっかりですまんね。で、何の話なんしゃ。
Honestly, can't blame me about going on about that parasol. I went on that parasol. I was so motivated about the current issue at hand. The moment you mentioned a fucking 200,000 yen parasol, even I had to like stop in my tracks and be like, whoa, hold up.
実はですね、ひなみ沢にお住まいの北条さと子さんの件で顧問のおみ。
北条さと子？はあ、バチあたり北条んとこのなんか。
実はですね、 そのおじさんとトラブルを。
おじさとこが私はそんな話。
いえいえいえいえいえ、ご存じなければ結構なんです。実はですね、そういった旨の陳情が生活相談所に入った。相談所が言うにはだいぶ強い口調で、それでですね、相談所の係長から。
私は何も知らんし、全然わからん。その崎家は全然知りませんし。
では、連長の方から。
知らん知らん。君吉んところが北条のバチ当たり娘なんぞ誰じゃねえ。その
クラスメートが何人かいらっしゃったと、まあそういう感じなんですが。
そんに決まっとんじゃ。村里子とは何の関係もなね。
Contents of this conversation were forwarded to the Child Consultation Center. If Oreo wasn't behind the commotion, then they had no need to take the case seriously. The manager told his staff to listen to what the petitioners have to say, but never say anything promising the girl's safety. Keiichi Maibara-kun, huh? I guess a boy like that will grow up to be a political advocate in the future. It'd been 3 days since he told her to stay home. He got another call from that annoying teacher again, so he yelled at her and hung up the phone. That woman is too persistent, Teppei thought. She won't give up that easily. He was sure that she'd call the Child Consultation Center again. The biggest reason why Teppei refused to let Satoko go to school was his fear that she'd seek help when going there. She'd pretended like nothing was wrong when the social worker from the Child Consultation Center showed up. That was only because he was right beside her. Yeah. She'd probably betray him as soon as she got her chance. Then the Consultation Center would show up immediately. No, maybe even the police would come and get him for assaulting Satoko. One of his friends had told him that the Consultation Center works with the police sometimes. Teppei had a lot of weight on his shoulders. If the police came, they'd end up questioning about the other trouble he was involved in. He couldn't let that happen. All he needed was the money. Teppei could leave this awful village behind as soon as he found his brother's bank book. Teppei usually stayed at home as he found the way the other villagers looked at him unpleasant. So when playing mahjong with his friends, he played it at Satoko's house. But mahjong requires at least 4 people. When Teppei couldn't get that many people to come over, he just stayed home alone and watched TV instead. Started using the ample free time to sniff around the house for his treasure. Satoko would end up cleaning the mess he made. Besides, it wasn't his home anyway. What did it matter to him how much furniture he broke? He cleared out the closet and went up to the attic. He also pulled out all the chests and searched through them thoroughly. His wife had been a pretty clever woman. She must have hid it somewhere very unusual. He messed up the whole first floor, went up to the second floor to search some more. Next moment, Satoko went and tried to tackle him. What? Oh, I'm guessing he went to Satoshi's room, huh? Teppei immediately assumed that she was hiding the bank book in there. He threw her off and forced his way inside the room. However, Satoko tried to stop him with all her might. Oh, sweetie. It was amusing for Teppei to see Satoko resisting him to that extent, but it also surprised him a little. He asked her why she didn't want him to go into Satoshi's room. Satoko's crazed behavior convinced him that he should stop provoking her for the moment. While Teppei was very talented at threatening people, despair makes cowards courageous. If he ignored Satoko and tore apart the room, she might just run away. He didn't want Satoko to be nearby, but he also couldn't let her run loose. Oh, Jesus. Of course, if you tell anyone what's happening, I'll fucking tear apart this room and it'll all go with the... So, of course, she'll fucking get out and be like, no, I can't tell anyone anything. Oh, Christ. Teppei was sure the bank book was inside Satoshi's room. Satoko would lose it if he went inside. He wasn't pleased about the promise he made with her, but at least it would keep Satoko under control. Might not hurt him to send her off to school. If he kept her home again tomorrow, the teacher might come to the house with the police in tow. He was only keeping her at home because he was afraid that Satoko would talk to other people. If she wasn't going to do that, it'd be better for him to send her to school. He could sneak into Satoshi's room while she was out.
Satoko, お前明日から学校行け。
ありがとうございます。ありがとうございます。
He was the one who told her to say thank you when he gives her approval to do something. But it annoyed him to hear her say it over and over.
はよ行かんね。面白ない。
God damn. The Child Consultation Center had finally contacted Satoko's uncle after finding out she was missing from school for 3 days in a row. I'm sure it was because of our efforts that Satoko was able to come to school today. And that's the thing, now they're thinking like, oh, we made a difference, yeah, when in reality it's just like, if I get her out of the house and make her promise she won't tell anyone, or at least have something to blackmail her with, be like, you know, like, to keep her from saying anything, then I can sneak into the room and like really get in there. However, we couldn't really celebrate after seeing her painful expression.
この3日間、本当に3日間熱が下がご迷惑をおかけしましたわね。
She started telling us why she hadn't been at school. Nobody had even asked her that.
多分、おじさんからあんな姿痛々しくて。
We're gonna seem more angry than sad. That's because she's the goat. Inside, I felt the same way. Felt like my anger was boiling up and lodging painfully in my throat. He was only letting Satoko come to school because he was now certain that she wouldn't do anything that would put him at a disadvantage. He was treating her like a tamed animal. Was it too late already? I thought of the broken Satoko I once saw in my imaginary world.
Satoko, お前は
当然ですわ。ニーニーがいなくても、私は一人で頑張れますもの。
I slowly reached out my hand toward her head.
お前がよく耐えて嫌か
She didn't reply, but she didn't refuse either. I slowly put my hand on her head. Oh, no. She didn't react to it, but a tear rolled down from her eye all of a sudden. Was she crying because she didn't want to be touched? No, that wasn't it. Rather, it was the opposite. If I stopped patting her head, I'd hurt her feelings. Satoko felt obligated to survive without her Nini. That didn't mean she didn't want anyone else's help. She couldn't appreciate my patting her head openly. Satoko had no choice but to cry in silence.
さとこちゃん、今は泣いても誰にも言わないよ。
And after Reina said that, Satoko started crying like a baby. I felt relieved knowing that it wasn't too late. She hadn't yet suffered from the fatal emotional wound that I saw in my imaginary world. However, her tears made it clear that I needed to save her as soon as possible, no matter what the whole world might say to me.
さとこ、きっとなのですよ。
さとこ、ぼんやりしてたわけじゃないんだね、ケイちゃん。
おう、俺たあのおじの野郎の非道から
そんなことしてくださらなくて。
俺たちだけじゃな、富田君。
僕だけじゃないで、岡村もクラスのみんなも戦って。そうだよ、僕たちクラス全員もちろん今日も行くねえ、前原。
ああ、サトコを救い出せるまで俺たちはくじけないもんな。
All the boys and girls in the class answered my call with their cheers. Satoko seemed a little surprised, but then soon became expressionless again.
だからそうだ、余計なことをなさらなくてもいいのに。
さとこ。
She wouldn't answer. I couldn't tell what that silence really meant. Soon after Chie-sensei entered the classroom, she must have heard the noise we were making.
北条、体の具合はもういいのですか?
We didn't know for sure if she was really sick or not. All of us, including Chie-sensei, were feeling the same thing.
ええ、おかげさま、本当にご心配をもう平気ですのよ。
これからはちゃんと学校に来られそうです。
ええ、だから本当に相談所の人になんか言わなくていいんですの。
北条さん、もし本当に先生は北条さんのいつでもいらっしゃい。 そこで先生だけに美味しいとさとこ、ここにいる私たちは。そうです。さとこもぜひ私の余ってる部屋もありますから、さとこのプライベート。
ダメです。さとこは僕の家で。ミパー。
なあ、さとこは一人、みんながお前を助けようと今必死になっているんだ。
But I don't know if people at the Child Consultation Center will ever understand how we feel. If what Oishi-san told me yesterday was true, and once they learn this isn't the will of all Hinamizawa, once they learn it's only her classmates creating a stir, it might harden their stance against us. All we had planned was to go there with more people and ask for the same thing. The Child Consultation Center was going to say the same thing to us too. It wasn't going to be any different from yesterday. They'd tell us that it's only normal for her uncle to take care of Satoko because he's legally her guardian. They'd also tell us that there's no proof of any abuse happening. And why do they think that? Because Satoko won't admit she's being abused.
お気持ちだけで本当に大丈夫ですから。嘘だよ。
Rena spoke with a smile, but her words cut sharp.
さとこちゃんはここにいる全員が。だから私たちは悲しい沼にでもそれだけじゃ。
そうなんだ。相談所側はさとこ本人が虐待を俺たち全員がさとこが受け入れてくれなければ
私どうせ誰にも自分が今していることが最善手だとそう思い込んでいるから。でもその時顔も思い出せないけど本当に選びたかった世界。でもそこへ至るには私たちだけが手を伸ばしても。だからさとこちゃん、あなたも手を伸ばして。それで互いに手をつかみ合って初めては。レナ、それを誰に？きっと幼稚園よりも小さい子。いつどこで誰になんてでもその時の気持ちを私は今でもはっきりと思い出す。あの時の気持ちがあったから。
そうだな。レナに言ったそいつは間違ってないぜ。
Man, whoever said that, man, he was really onto something. I like that guy.
サトコは今それが最善手だと勘違いしてる。いいか、違うんだ。自分の顔を鏡で見てみろ。違うだろ。サトコはこんな世界、俺たちはサトコを元の世界。そしてその手はだが届いてりゃ髪の毛をだから掴め。手を伸ばしてもお前の鼻先に俺のだから掴む。手を伸ばすだけでいい。あとは俺たちが。
Satoko wouldn't reach out her hand. She just stared at mine as though praying for something. Her fingers were shaking. But Satoko wouldn't try to reach her hand toward mine. I felt like screaming out in anger, but I didn't want to scare her. If I did that, she'd never trust me again. True. All I could do was to wait for her to reach out her hand.
ありがとうです。本当にでも本当にさとこ、
もう少し時間がいるんだよ。
Satoko needed time to sort out her feelings, but her time limit was getting closer and closer. It was unfortunate that Satoko didn't even realize that herself. The next moment we heard someone approaching our classroom. By the sound of the footsteps, we could tell that was the principal. And so I couldn't tell why Satoko was twitching like she just got electrocuted. The door quickly opened and the principal strode inside. He seemed relieved to see Satoko back in school. However, Satoko reacted both dramatically and bizarrely. She let an inexplicable scream and ran to the back of the classroom and hid behind the curtain. No one in the classroom could understand her actions. Never even considered that it was because the principal had entered the room. The principal, however, realized it immediately. Satoko was scared to see him.
北条君、大丈夫かね?
He spoke in a kind voice, but Satoko was still afraid. It was plain as day to all of us that Satoko was frightened at the sight of the principal, but none of us could understand why.
大丈夫か？何も怖がる。ここには味方しかいない。
おじが。
Everyone here thought for sure that Satoko's uncle had shown up to get her. We all rose up at once, shielded Satoko in a circle, and searched the surroundings. I'd yet to see her uncle's face, but we were in school now. If someone unfamiliar showed up, I could spot him immediately. If he tried to force Satoko to leave, then forget everything else. I'd end the fight right here. Mion and Shion are thinking the same thing. However, while Satoko remained frightened, we couldn't find any sight of her uncle. Satoko was trembling as if he was already inside our classroom, but there was no sight of him. Finally, I realized the truth. Satoko was frightened by the figure of the principal. I can understand that she'd be scared of his footsteps, but she was still terrified after he showed his face. This was not normal. It was made clear to me how much stress Satoko was dealing with. Rika-chan hushed Satoko and whispered into her ear.
大丈夫ですよ。意地悪なおじはいませんで。 そこにおじが私を連れ戻しに来たんですわ。落ち着くの。今日のお注射はちゃんとしましたです。おじがねえねえ。
注射って何の話？
ケイチ、急いで入り。サトコが大変だと言え。早く知恵、サトコを保健室に運びまし。サトコちゃん。
とにかく監督を呼ぼう。医者に見せるしかない。で、誰か監督のところの。
私が職員室の電話を借りよう。
I headed to the nurse's office after I asked Mion to make a phone call to the doctor. There were lots of students surrounding the office. Jia-sensei was forcing out the other kids who had entered the room with them. I stuck behind her and entered it myself. Satoko was lying down on the bed, still shaking with fear. Reina and Rika were there with her and trying to calm her down. I spoke quietly so as not to scare Satoko.
サトコはどうしたってんだ一体。
よくわからないけど、とても怯えていて、校長先生の姿がおじさんに見えたみたいなの。
Hearing that made it easier to understand, but it was still hard to believe. He had been right in front of us and had spoken to her in such a kind voice. It was really hard to believe that she couldn't tell that it was the principal.
壁に黒い点が一つあったら、ハエが嫌いな人なら、きっと雲が嫌いなら雲に、人は識別のつかない何かがあったとき、サトコちゃんは近づいてくる校長先生の。
でも校長が実際に姿を現しても、
その誤解がすぐに解けなくなるのがサトコの病気なのです。
What does she mean? Illness? I tried to ask Rika-chan that, but Satoko was becoming even more frightened. Rika-chan held her hand gently and tried to calm her down. Reina tapped my shoulder. She was indicating to me that we should leave Rika-chan and Satoko alone in the room. I agreed with her. Satoko was in tremendous shock.
じゃあ俺たちは教室へ戻ってるよ。
お願いしますです。
Reina and I left the nurse's office. My classmates were still asking Chie-sensei about Satoko's condition. As soon as they saw me, they walked over and asked how she
みんな
was.
とりあえずはリカちゃんに任せ。サトコは今だから怖がらせないようにしてやってく。多分ここで騒いでいるのもサトコには。
教室へ戻ろう。きっとすぐに監督が来て。みーちゃん、連絡は取れたんだよね。
大至急来てくれ。それまではリカちゃんに任せ。絶対に保健室から出さないようにだってさ。はい、皆さん、朝のホームルームを始めますよ。
While the teacher took our attendance, a car arrived on the school's premises. Everyone's attention was drawn to it. 3 people with white gowns came out of the vehicle. Ide ran to the school in a hurry. We were surprised to see 3 people show up. It made us all aware that Satoko was in worse shape than we realized. Chie-sensei felt the same way. She left the class to Mio and hurried to the nurse's office. Despite our worries, Satoko returned to the classroom about 10 minutes later. She was still as depressed as she was in the morning, but she was no longer in a state of panic.
サトコ、もう起きてもう少し休んでてもいいと思います。
ご心配をもう平気ですのよ。サトコちゃん。
Satoko seemed bothered by the way we were worrying about her. Chie-sensei also returned to the classroom. At the same time, I snuck out so I could talk to Ide and his staff. I saw him talking with Rika-chan.
監督、サトコは本当に大。
前原さん。ええ。とりあえずは大丈夫。しばらく様子を見てあげてください。
ちょっとした発作なのです。もう大丈夫なのです。
発作って、そういえばさっきも保健室でサトコの。
では私は何かあったらまた呼んでください。
Coach bowed and left without making any comment. It was like he was avoiding my question about Satoko's condition.
ケイチ、誰にも内緒と。サトコは数年前からちょっとしたずっとその治療を受け続けていますです。
It was surprising to hear that. It meant she was already sick when I first met her. I'd never seen any sign of that though.
その病気は簡単には治りませんが、ちゃんとお薬と治療を受けることで。
そうなのか。でもだったらリカちゃんに打ち明けられるまであれだけ元気に過ごせるならそれで十分だよ。
She was hardly in a good condition, so that makes me hesitant to use the word fine. What kind of disease could Satoko have? Based on what I saw earlier, she might have a mental illness rather than a physical one. It might be because of how she was abused in the past. I've heard that mental trauma is not easy to cure and it needs medical attention at times. That must be what's going on with her.
サトコは実はですが、 朝からいろいろとおじに意地悪をされていたせいで。
それはつまりということなのか。
Rika-chan nodded quietly. Really, it was quite a shock. The Satoko I know is an energetic and mischievous girl who's always bouncing around like a super ball. I couldn't believe that she turned into a scared little animal just by forgetting to take a shot.
注射を忘れるとすると何かが起こったり聞こえたり。
つまりさっきの場合は校長の足音を聞いて。
そうです。聡子の場合はその足音をおじだと思い込んだら校長が顔を見せて優しく語りかけたとしても。
さっきリカちゃんはその誤解が解きにくくなる病気、嫌なことと思い込んでしまった。なんて病名か聞きたくもない。気の毒だぜ。それにそんな病気と戦いながら今日まで。
でもケイどうかこの病気のことは聡子には言わないであげてほしいのです。
Why not? I guess I shouldn't ask. Might not be a nice thing to talk about her mental illness. I guess that's what she's trying to tell me.
聡子はさっき教室に戻ってきたが、
とりあえず入江が聡子のお注射を持ってきてくれましたのでもう大丈夫です。
She's seriously sick to the point where she requires the doctor's attention. I realized something in the next moment.
聡子が急病で倒れたってことにして入院させちゃうのっていい手だったとは思わないか？
We can force her to stay in a hospital even if she refuses. That way we can save her from her uncle. Yes, that's a great idea.
もちろんそれですが。
聡子が断るとか
ケイチ、聡子が家に帰らないと。
何？
聡子にとって北条の家はサトシが帰ってくるまで守らなければならない場所なのです。
He was taking advantage of her. Teppei was telling her that he'd get rid of Satoshi's room if she didn't stay with him.
汚ねえ野郎だ。
ケイチ、C は感情を抑えるのがうまくないので知ったら短気を起こしかねませんです。
She brought up Shion, but I was also furious about it. I'm like, trust me, no. Your anger's not gonna be much compared to Shion's if she finds out he's fucking with Satoshi's shit. I had to calm down, though. I needed everyone's help in order to save Satoko. Couldn't ruin everything by acting foolishly. I had no time to stop.
くそ！聡子が助けてと一言でも言ってくれりゃどうとでもなるのに。
Just because she hadn't asked for it didn't mean she didn't need it. As her friends, we had to help her. Especially after learning that he was controlling her by threatening to get rid of Satoshi's room.
いや、そのサトシの部屋を助けてと直接言えない聡子が遠回しに明日明白な助けだ。
Rika-chan nodded slightly.
ケイチ、聡子を助けるために残された時間はもう長くはないのです。
That I was all too aware of. She had a panic attack just because she didn't take her shot this morning. But if she stayed in her current environment, it'd be too late to save her in a matter of days. I saw her future when I saw Satoko crying behind the curtain this morning.
今日で3日目だ。人数はすでに初日の10倍以上に膨れたが、まだまだ行くぜ。
ケイチ、聡子を救うのはこれまでに何度も試してきて。
そうなのか？
ケイチは覚えてでも今回の今までに一度も見たことのない僕はケイチが運命なんてあっさりと破ってしまえる力のある人間だと信じています。
What did she mean when she said I didn't remember? I didn't have time to ask questions, though.
ああ、そうだな。運命なんて俺があっさり打ち破ってやるぜ。
A huge crowd had formed in front of the library. It's hard to believe that over 50 people had assembled in front of such a quiet place.
今日は面白くなってきたぜ。今日のリーダーの
こんにちは。
Kawadekun had brought a bunch of athletes with him. They were all very tall and full of spirit. Being greeted by a bunch of big people at once made me feel uncomfortable. Whoops, I shouldn't feel so intimidated. The commander can't act bashful in front of his troops. Following after them were our nameless comrades who sympathized with our plight at Angel Mort yesterday. I hate to say it, but I never expected any of them to actually show up. Seeing them all here to support us made me feel glad. They seemed plenty pumped too, raising up fervous cries. Shrieks? Kawadekun did so much for me. Brought not only his teammates, but also people from Angel Mort. Couldn't thank him enough.
水臭いぜケ。俺デザフェに行った連中の噂だと夏の新デザート恥じらいの青い果実サンデーが最高にいいらしいっす。この夏は一緒に青い果実をむさぼり食いに行きましょう。
ケイチ君、
おお、すごいね。これを全部君が一人で集めたのかい？
こんにちは。ここまでとは思わなかったわ。やるわね。
富武さん、高野さん、どうしてここに？
あ、レナは夕べの祭りの実行委員会の席でね。確か監督も来るはず。
お待たせしました。遅れて申し訳。留守番のスタッフへの引き継ぎに手間取りました。
監督、それすごいすごい。
Coach had brought some sashes, headbands, and banners with him. He was so well prepared. The sashes and headbands read, "Save Satoko Hojo," and the consultation center must take action immediately. They were perfect for our protest. He brought lots of extras along too. Takano-san and Shion handed them out to other supporters.
なんていうのか。監督のこういうセンスがでも今日はちょっと見直してます。しかしこういうアイテムもいいね。ここにいる60人は全員に面識があるわけじゃない。でも同じ鉢巻きやタスキを身につけることで同じ目的を持った仲間だと分かり、連帯感も育めるからね。
こんなのを身につけると、鉢巻きやタスキをしたひなみ沢の人たちは無敵だったんだ。誰が相手でもひるまなかった。
Tomitaka-san was exactly right. Even the kids from Okonomiya were willing to wear the headbands. It was like we were supporting a baseball team.
さ、リカさんもこれだけの数を作るのは苦労。
いりえ。
私も自分ができることを、さとこちゃんを助け出すために全力を尽くしま。
はい、ケイチくんのすごいね。昨日は社会科見学様ご一行。
そうだな。俺は人数が多ければ相手はビビるだろうくらいに思ってた。やはりハッタリって大事なんだなって思うぜ。
さあ、そろそろ団長。決起の挨拶。
団長なんて、俺なんて単なる発起人で。
ケイチ君、リーダーがそんなじゃ貫禄がないよ。さあ、胸を張って。
I walked out in front of everyone while Tomitaka-san took pictures. Everyone went quiet and turned their gaze to me. I felt so nervous. But at the same time, I also felt really thrilled to see all of our comrades here.
みんな、今日は集まってくれてありがとう。すでに聞いてると思うが、俺たちのクラスメイト、北条聡子がおじに誘拐同然。かつて気の向くままに聡子をいじめ、愛人のところへ1年間も蒸発していたおじが、児童相談所は直ちに状況を理解し、だが児童相談所側は聡子が日々の窒息しそうな環境の中で、俺たちはこれより3日目の陳情を決行し、児童相談所。
今日学校で聡子ちゃんの姿、あの快活だった聡子ちゃんがたったの4日であんなにもやつれ果ててしまって、あんな姿をこれ以上放っておくなんて絶対にできない。
これですでに3日連、しかも人数はここまで膨れ上が。相談所側に私たちの強い意志を訴えよう。私たちは仲間を見捨てたりしない。
すごいね。こいつは間違いなくダム戦争の再来。
ダム戦争を知らないはず。面白いものね。やはりこの地には人を結束させたくなる何かがあるということなの。
やっぱり田舎的な人懐っだから、今日のこれは怒るべくして起こったんです。
僕たちは隣人の顔も覚えてない都会に住んでるけど、それと比べるとなんだか羨ましいね。
電車の本数が少ないと愚痴ってた人がよく言いますですよ。
全軍突撃準備完了。カッカはただここで死ねと飲み込めよ。
What a fucking voice.
要求貫徹、絶対救出。みんな K に続け。
No, no, my bongos. Oh, I wanted to storm the gates with my bongo music, damn it. Everyone had that much vigor before we'd even entered the building. They'd had to have heard what was going on outside. In fact, panic-looking people were staring at us out the windows.
さ、参りましょう。
Yet they pushed me forward and I took the first step of our third attempt with the weight of 60 people on my shoulders. We went through the automatic doors and slowly crossed 20 meters to the counter.
これでならどうだ。一昨日は相談員、昨日なら今日は所長か。
わからない。でもきっと私たちの強い意志は伝わるはずだよ。
昨日と同じで北条聡子の緊急対応を求めて陳情に参りました。
At the far end of the office, I saw the manager from yesterday talking to a guy sitting behind an important-looking desk. I could tell he was intimidated to see so many people. Shion said that this was the day we'd finally close the deal, but I couldn't be that optimistic yet. To be honest, our current numbers were probably the maximum number of people that I could get. So what would we do if things didn't work out today? Put up a brave front, but internally I was nearly cracking with the anxiety. But looking at the hopeful, encouraging expression on Reina's face as she walked beside me helped disperse those timid feelings. Reina might hold the very same worries inside of her heart. Everyone must be wondering if we can really save Satoko or not. But today we were supporting each other by hiding those worries. That was unmistakably our team's strong point. We could never have gathered so much energy and strength if we were alone. That power can only be created when people work together. It takes forever for a drop of water to wear away at one rock, but a tsunami can break it into pieces in a second. The manager approached the counter. He started speaking to me, saying that the meeting room was open today. He couldn't let us all into one room. However, the head of the office was willing to see us so we could use the reception area in front of his desk. Since the room is so small, however, he asked us to choose 3 representatives to come inside.
本当に他のお客様へのご配慮ということで、ご理解とご協力をいただけると助かるのですが。
We were here with all these people, and they were only letting 3 of us inside. I wanted to refuse their offer, but Mion told me to take it.
この人数で占拠すれば業務への支障を理由にすでに十分インパクトはある。向こうも施設長が直接話を聞くと言ってるし、
みんなガクガクブルブルでニャーニャーしてますですよ。
ニャーニャー。
にゃーにゃー。でも会議室が空いてないってのは嘘くさいですけど。
私も嘘だ。でもみーちゃんの言う通り、これだけの人数で。
所長さんはここの最高、それが話を聞くという例を尽くした以上、
話し合いの場を設けたのにそういう記録だけ残ると話し合いの余地。
部外者の意見で恐縮だけど、ここは話し合いに来ているということをアピールするべきだと思うな。
It was good to get suggestions from so many different people. If it was only me, I would have just gotten pissed off and left. That was probably not the best idea. Once again, I felt how important it was that we were a team.
わかりました。では代表3人ということにします。で、代表は誰にしよう。
代表はケイイチ君でいいと思うな。
Obviously, it has to be Keiichi. It's a difficult choice. I'd say probably be a good idea to bring Iri in there, as he's, well versed in her medical situation. Might be worth it to bring him along. And like, me personally, like, I'd probably bring Reina along. She knows how to cut through the bullshit pretty well. She knows how to get to the heart of the matter without letting emotions get too mixed in. I'm just saying.
あと、大人として監督とみーちゃんもついててくれれば文句なしかな。
I don't necessarily want to bring Mion in because then there's going to be the Sonozaki connection, right? Then they're going to be like, oh, it's a Sonozaki thing.
所長が私の顔を知ってたら、園崎家の圧力って今回の件は園崎家はノータッチなんで、大人の事情でごめん。聡子を助けるのは私たちの戦いで、ならレナさんはどうです？ガツンと一発叩き込んでやってくださいよ。
私でもいいけど、リカちゃんはどう？聡子ちゃんの一番のお友達として代表に加わってもいいんじゃないかな。
Kinda had that in the back of my mind too. Rika-chan is a quiet girl, so it'd be hard for them to understand what she's thinking. However, she's Satoko's best friend. She'd been living with her for the past year as if they were family. This is also true. She has the strongest bond with Satoko out of any of us. And she's also the one who actually heard directly from Satoko.
よし、俺と監督、そしてリカちゃんで行こ
う。了解。私はみんなをまとめるよ。
Mion winked at me and started explaining the situation to everyone else. I never thought I'd be chosen as one of the representatives. I'm not a very good speaker, so really, Reina or Shion should have been picked instead of me. Shion? Rika, come on. Even if you doubt yourself, to think Shion should be picked over you? That's nuts. That's crazy talk. Now you wild for that one, girl. But I just couldn't refuse when they told me that Satoko's best friend should be the one to go. They told us to sit on the couch inside the visitor's room. The counselor, the manager, and the head of the office were there. The way they treated us was improving every time we came. I didn't know if today's appeal would change anything, but I was starting to feel the direction of fate shift little by little.
どうですか、リカ。
わずか数日で、さすがの私にも、もうどうなるやら見当もつかないわ。
Hanyu appeared beside me. It had been a while since she showed up. Hanyu was assuming that we still wouldn't be able to save Satoko in this world either. She always felt that it was best just to watch what happened, without hoping for a positive change. That's why you suck. I had been hurt so many times of being betrayed while hoping for change. Surely that wasn't good for my soul. I've been beaten down over and over again. It's better to be quiet and do nothing. It's better not to expect change. That way, if something bad happens, I won't feel pain. My fate was already a dead end. But was that really true? I did my best in many of my previous lives. However, I had always acted alone. A miracle only happens when everyone combines their efforts. I was starting to feel the depth of what that meant. But even so, that didn't guarantee that we could save Satoko. This was the best chance I'd had so far, certainly, but it still didn't prove anything. I couldn't call it a miracle just yet. A miracle is something far more dramatic. So this wasn't a miracle. It wasn't a miracle just yet. There was still someone else who needed to reach out for this to become a miracle. Everyone has been working so hard. They truly believe they can bring about a miracle. Who amongst them doesn't believe? Isn't there someone who's not reaching out her hand like everyone else is doing?
冷たく言えば、奇跡を起こせない日は聡子にある。そもそも、さっきから圭一や入江が向こうとやり合っている最大の争点は、聡子。
そうなのですが、それは簡単ではないのです。
聡子を救おうと、みんなが手を伸ばしているのに、そうやって考えると、相談所に訴える前に、一番
聡子に手を伸ばすよう説得す。
それはとても簡単な。サイコロの目が再び六揃いになる奇跡を待つ苦労に比べたら大した苦労じゃない。
In any case, I'm the only one with the key to open her heart. I'm like family to Satoko. I know she thinks the same. I'm not trying to brag or anything. Satoko's like family to me as well. No, my feelings toward her are even deeper than that. Might be only 1 year for Satoko, but I've spent decades with her.
そしてさらに考えれば奇跡が起こらないのは
どうして
奇跡を起こすにはみんなが合わせてない。一人足りなかった。奇跡が起こらないのは
聡子ですか？
Nope.
違うわ、私よ。
Yep.
私。
I had just been observing them like a spectator. I'd been tired of this eternally repeating world and acted like a witch. I had forgotten the powerful feelings needed to change fate. In other words, it was like I was supposed to be an actress, but was just sitting back and eating popcorn. I'm not a spectator. I'm one of the people on the stage, and that's why this play was never successful. In the world where Reina took over the school, if I hadn't done anything, Keiichi would have died in an explosion. Because I got on the stage like I was supposed to, the play didn't end that way. I'm a part of this world too. It's such an obvious thing, but I must have forgotten it a long time ago.
私がサトシの呪縛から、もちろん私以外にもそれはできるだろうけれど、いや、そうでなかったとしても。
リカ、あなたは何度もそのような。それでもなお。
わかってる。二度とない幸運と、私が次の世界でも頑張ろうと、安っぽい決意をしたと。この世界よりも。だから、この世界でもダメ。私は、諦めよう。
Hanyu looked at me with surprise. For us, the term giving up means a lot more than what it sounds like. It doesn't only mean that I will accept my fate. It means that I will accept the dead end waiting for me. In other words, accept my death.
なんていうか、未練って努力してないから感じるもの。今回これだけの幸運。まあ確かに叔父の帰宅は例外だけど、そしてその追い風の中で私は多分できる最大限の方を張ったと思う。だから今度こそって思うし、逆にその時は私
I'm the only person who can communicate with Hanyu. If I disappear, she'll have to go on with her life all alone. That's the last thing Hanyu wants to happen. Good is the motivation we need for Hanyu to start finally fucking getting in on this shit. We'll be like, oh no, we'll try next time. Oh no, we'll just try next time. Don't get your hopes up. We'll try next time. Like, no. Throw down the ultimatum and be like, nah, this time or no time. Perhaps that's why Hanyu says the things she does. She doesn't want my lifespan to wither away by getting hurt emotionally.
でも、私はあなたに舞台を見るという楽しみ方を教えきっと。だから私はティカ、きっとどこかの世界でそれは奇跡ではない。今回と同じような追い風。そうね。そうだったらどんなに素晴らしいことか。
Still, trying to beat my fated death is another issue entirely. That sounds wonderful, but it's still not guaranteed.
その世界までだから。
Nah,
この
fuck
世界
you.
が終わったら諦めるなんて言わないでほしいのです。
If you don't throw the ultimatum down, you'll never be motivated to actually fucking do it.
私が死んだらたまに気配か足音。じゃあ私は自分にできるあんただって永遠に繰り返す。誰ともお話ができずに過ごす長い時間の方がもっと嫌なのです。
Apparently, she thinks this time loop that's driving me mad is far better than having no one to talk to. That's just how she feels. Yeah, she's being selfish.
僕もこの運命を
No,
乗り
you
越え
don't.
てまだ見たことのない昭
Well,
和
no, you
58
do.
年
You
や
just want to do it without actually lifting a finger to do anything.
でもそれはリカと一緒でなくてはダメなのです。
I'm sure that's similar to my own claim. There's no point in living past June 1983 if I'm the only one who does. My ideal future is to survive past June 1983 and let the happy times continue like always without anyone missing. Hanyu feels the same way. She doesn't want a world where I'm not by her side. We're repeating this world only because we wish to do so. It wasn't just Hanyu's power, it was one that we shared together. Hanyu wants to be with me just like I want to build myself a happy future. We both want the same thing, but if I refused to repeat my world again, my long life would be over. Yet, I never refused, no matter how sick and tired of it I was. For over 100 years, I kept believing that something good would happen eventually. However, our power is weakening, and we can only go back a few weeks at most. We have so little time left to try and change our fate. If we keep it up, eventually we'd only be able to go back to the morning of the day I was going to die. That'd be a dead end for sure. I don't think a life this fortunate will ever come my way again. My time was unlimited, I'm sure that'll eventually happen. But I can't count on it happening in what time I do have left. Hanyu told me to wait for another chance because she doesn't want to see me lose myself, but she isn't feeling the time limit like I am.
死んでも目が覚め、そんな地獄に落ちる前に。だからそれをこの世界でダメだったら。
Let me translate what she's trying to say. This world is no different from any other world. You're not going to win, so don't bet on this life. Your lifespan is not as short as you think. You should wait for your next opportunity in this endless June. Stay with me until then. Stay with me and wait for the next chance.
てなところでしょ。ならせいぜい相談所を解き伏せ。そして私が昭和58年6月の運命に昭和58年の夏、昭和58年のスイカを食べ、今年の秋はどんな、今年の冬は私たちの知らない天気や知らないテレビ番組や、そしてそれまで一緒に頑張ろう。なのにこの世界でダメだったら諦めるなんて、そんなのは約束。その約束だけはきっと仲間みんなと一緒に、そこにはもちろん、そしてきっと青くて広いに違いない。きっとね。昭和58年の大空はこれまでの空とは比べ物にならないくらいに美しいに違いないから。
I'm sure I'm going to make a miracle happen in this world. God didn't design humans so they could redo their lives over and over again like me. People usually only have one chance, yet they can still make miracles happen with effort. They work so hard because they know that they'll never have a chance to do it over again. That's why miracles occur. But if I can't make one happen with all that, I just have to give up.
次の世界なんていらない。この世界でみんなが教えてくれた奇跡はみんなでなら起こせると教えて、だから起きる、起こす、この世界で。リカ
Hanyu disappeared, sobbing sadly. She was no longer in my sight, but I could still talk to her.
羽生、きっと私たちは。だから信じて、あなたも力を合わせてくれたなら、奇跡はもっと起きやすいかもしれないんだから。
This is the best possible stage I can hope for. The actors on the stage and the audience before it can help each other. If you wish, you, the audience, can change the story too. I've made my decision. I'm going up on the stage. I'm not going to complain anymore. I'll do my best, just like Keiichi and my other friends. I'm not going to make any more excuses. I'm not going to wait for another fortunate world. I have to do my best in this one. I'm not talking about my decision to die after this world is over. I'm just saying that people are meant to have only one chance to live. That's why they work so hard. Because I had so many chances to redo my life, I haven't been working hard enough. I was never able to make a miracle happen. In my previous life, Reina took over the school. Because I got in her way, Keiichi made it in time to stop the explosion. The story changed because I decided to get up on the stage. Perhaps in my other lives before that, I could have changed my situation if I worked hard enough without giving up. But I kept giving up so easily and eventually lost my interest in those worlds. And so a miracle never happened. A miracle never happened because I was always relying on the fact that I'd have another chance. Hanyu, I hope you can understand. Please, don't be sad and work hard with me in this world. I couldn't tell if she understood me. I assertively spoke to the officials about how much danger Satoko is in. Keiichi and Ire also made their appeals from the bottom of their hearts. I had no idea how the Child Consultation Center took what we said so passionately. All I could do was pray. Alright, but unfortunately I will have to wrap it up there for today. But that's a nice little cliffhanger to leave it on. We made our third and probably final appeal. Big moment. We now have Rika's finally coming around. She's finally realizing what she needs to do. She's finally realizing that she needs to lock in. Very interested to see how it all plays out. Very interested if we finally see that moment with if Rika can actually convince Satoko to, you know, reach that hand out, turn things around. Very interested. But yeah, like I said, I'm gonna have to wrap this one up here for today. So thank you to anyone watching. It's all much appreciated. And hopefully I'll see you on the next one. Till then, peace.